What's up? Always fun checking out old school stuff. I'm eating brownies. You guys want some? What brownies? What are you guys doing? Well, everybody, happy holidays. I can't believe that heat's on. I gotta go shut it off. Hope everybody's enjoying the holidays. I'm just stuffing my face, kind of hanging out, watching that. So everybody's here. Uncle Mark just said brownies look good. Robert says, I just saw the forecast for where I live. It's going to be 55 degrees here. Yeah, today it was pretty warm, so I was outside. I'll show you some of what I did today. Regular brownies or bleach brownies. Yeah, right? No, there's no bleach in them, and there's no bleach brownies in here, because he's always putting stuff in. Wonder what he's doing today. I don't think he's live. Bleach, what are you doing? I didn't notice. Then again, I wasn't really looking. I was just trying to get going. Hopefully everybody's doing good. And yeah, it was warm here. It's going to be a little bit warm for the next couple of days. And I keep seeing something about Canada and the jet stream or whatever the hell they call it. It's going to drop. Of course, it'll drop pretty good, especially along the northeast all the way down to the south if it does. And they're saying January is going to be super cold. So I was outside pressure washing today, and I'm going to see if I can get up at a reasonable time. So I'm not going to try not to do a 3 hour. I'll try to do a 2 hour so I can sit around and relax. I think the next 2 days, because it's just been raining straight through. It was warm, but rain. So I couldn't get anything done in that regard. So I took a couple of days to absolutely do nothing, literally. Like I was like, all right, it's end of the year, time out, regroup. Brett says, I saw a little bit of Ken's. I was mostly outside, so I was like, I didn't try to make too much of an attempt. It's good. I just wanted to try to stay with it. Had to do the oil change, whatever, on my ex-wife's car. And, of course, once I was doing that, and I got completely sidetracked and doing all kinds of stuff like that, and she wanted to wash it, and I'm like, oh, my God. So by the time I got, to do what I wanted to do, I got to stop at like 4 because it's just getting dark and nasty. So I started cleaning up at about 4. So I got to get back out there tomorrow and see if I can clean a few more things. And so I'll give you guys a little quick look at a few things. I got to start work on Mike's Simplicity Sunstar. So I just wanted to show you guys that real quick. I think it's a cool machine. It's basically like mine, but I think it's in a little bit better shape, but it's got issues. And I wanted to get that clean. I gave it its first preliminary cleaning, and then I want to pull off the deck and leave the deck outside. I've got to inspect it. And I want to get the tire chains off. And the one tire is shot. So I put some slime in it and stopped leaking. I was really surprised. Like, I put some of my stuff that I had flat out and some slime in it. And I was really surprised it started to heal the tire, which was pretty cool. This is, we could show the video on his on Robert's carburetor. We could do that. Nice. Which carburetor? Well, we'll find out because he ordered like one of each. Robert, that's pretty cool. Good. We'll get to see what's going on with that. And then I got this guy George called me up. He wants to drop off his Terramite, which is a cool machine. It's got a 20 horsepower, dual cylinder Kohler on it. And, you get these stories from people, so I don't really know. It doesn't run right. I said, does it make any really bad, god-awful noises? He says, no. I said, does it blow any smoke? No. He says, it just doesn't run well. And he says, it's like new. I'm like, well, how old is like new? It's supposed to be like could be a 5-year-old engine. He says it's new. I don't know if he bought it new. It's not new. He doesn't use it a lot. And I guess he let one of his guys use it. And when they were done with it, it didn't run right. And I think he said something about bringing it to a mechanic, and the mechanic worked on it, and it still does not run right. It's really hard to start. It doesn't run well. It won't idle. And now it's not running. So he's going to have to bring it here and leave it on the trailer until I can get it off. And he claims that there's no neutral on it, right? Because it's all hydraulic. Now, I find that hard to believe. I said, this should be, what is this, blades, not laces? What does that mean? Wait, hold on, let me back up. It says, Brett says, I got blades and adapters for the Time Master. Nice. So you're working on the Time Master. Good. So I don't know. You just don't know anything until you see the machine. And I said to him, I said, I can't really tell you much over the phone. I really can't. I'm going to have to see it. And it's good to hear the information from the potential customer. And he asked me about, diagnostic charges, and I just threw around a couple of numbers. I said, it really depends upon how deep I go into it. If it's not making a lot of noise or any really bad noises and it's not blowing smoke, it could be a lot of things. And since you don't use it a lot, it could be mice got up in it and made a nest and peed all over everything and chewed the wires. And I said, you could be running on one cylinder. He goes, I don't know. I don't think so. I said, you'd be surprised. These are big motors. I mean, they'll run on one cylinder. They won't run well, and it'll be hard to start, and it won't really idle, which sounds a lot like the issues. And if it has, and he did say that it farted back through the carburetor, and he knows a little bit about these things. I said, yeah, that could be valves, but it could also be if you're only running on one cylinder, you'll have all this extra fuel building up. There's still going to be compression if it's an electrical issue. And what does he say? Let's see. Tony says, looks good. Oh, yeah. Check this out. Tony set me up with this one. So we're changing some colors around, trying to find the right. This is supposed to have the black. And I think it was this one. Was it, Tony? Was it this one, or was it the T-shirt? Let me forget. Oh, it's the T-shirt. Okay, so this is the T-shirt. Right? No, guys, I'm not going to get naked. Not going to go there. Right? So the T-shirt, what did I get? Crap on it already? Was supposed to have black around it, but it wound up white. And then this one was the other concept. So still trying to figure it out. But what I got to figure out next on these things is he's working off of a picture, which is basically the same picture. That's my, whatever you call it, the icon, whatever. I don't actually have the transparency file, so I have to either recreate it or I have to make a transparency from this. And I don't know how to do it the automated way. I don't have that software. I do have some software, so I got to get in touch with a friend of mine and see what it is we did or what software we used originally, so he can learn me on that. Because what I need is the transparency file, right? So I was doing some work like that recently. Let me get situated here. Let me turn this software on. And let me just play with something real quick here. I shouldn't say things like that. Let's see. Let me restore. So I've been teaching myself how to do some of this stuff. Yeah, it's better. So, sorry, fellas. So I'm playing around with some stuff. I didn't realize the audio button got hit. So it's just playing around with this thing, and when I did that, it reset to the audio off. So I'm just fooling around with some different software. Thanks everybody for telling me. So let me back up. So Bleach says I have puddles of water in the garage. I'm getting arm of rubber ducks to throw out stuff I don't need. Good. Brett says Brett scrubbed his what do you call it down, Vista Clean, and hit it with WD-40. That must look good. Yeah, the Toros. Let's see. Turn audio on. Yeah, watch losses audio. Baby Boomer. Welcome, Baby Boomer. It's just like we're all Baby Boomer, except for Bleach. He's the young one, right? Bleach, don't forget, Bleach is not the young one. He's the chick magnet. Right, remember? Bleach, have you checked your channel lately to see if you're over 50% on the chick magnet score? I think we have a weed hangover. It's not fun. Nice. Met Army, not Arm. Oh, an Army. Okay. Nice. Ducks. It looks good for a 2012 model. Yeah, that should, right? I mean, although the one I have is just there's no body left. But, we'll take care of that. Well, before we get started, fellas, let's see. We always we got a pregame. We got a pregame real quick. This is so bad. Oh! That's just so wrong. So to get started, we'll come back into some other things, but to get started, I want to show you guys. We'll talk about a few things. Let the entertainment begin, right? Let me cue up the next one. This is going to be maddening, right? I got to get it set up. This is Robin says, I'm too old and ugly to be a baby boomer. Lee says, I have to check my chick magnet stuff on my channel. Brett says, you never know, Arch may come across with one good chassis and a bad motor. That's what I'm hoping that mine has a good motor. I mean, I don't see why not. But considering the look of the chassis, but this is New York. So that's why I say, it looks like the chassis that mine has looks like a lot of the cars around here. In fact, everything, even the building is rotting, because when you get weather like this, we had for a number of years, my ex-wife was walking around, she's like looking at all the rot on the building. She's like, what the hell happened? We had a bunch of years that were like this, the past few weeks. And it just kept going like that. And a few years of that, especially on Long Island, and everything will rot. That's just the way it is. All right, let me set this up. Hold on. Give me a second. I just got to get it set. This is really gross, fellas. Where do you see this? Hold on. I'll set this crap up here. So, to kind of cover a few things, there's some crazy things going on in the social world. And maybe some of us are a little too old for some of this, but, I figured why not, right? Just check out, see what's going on in the chick world. Speaking of chick magnet, this is probably more fitting for you, Bleach, right? And of course, I don't want to just blame the ladies, right? There's issues with the guys too. But for right now, all right, let's see what the ladies are doing. Hold on. Let's see what the ladies are doing. Let's turn on a little bit of me. And now, what is this thing? This thing over here. Yeah, she should be all right. Let's see, we should have audio. Let me bring audio up. Let's see. Let's get it started. Yeah, it should work now. Where's the button? Where's the button?
I know everyone has their panties in a bunch right now about how I've licked my own excrement before, but I will say I don't do that anymore. I have learned, and if I do it, I make sure it's clean, usually.
What the?
Oh, what? How do you clean your own excrement before you lick it? What is that about? I mean, like, you think to yourself, you're like, oh, she's not a bad-looking young lady, and you imagine, like dating her, right? You don't really know her. Let me come back. All right, imagine dating her, and you don't really know her. And you're like, hi, dudes, I just met this, like, pretty cool chick. She's like, all right, like, because people dating behavior, like, shit doesn't come out right away. Imagine, right? And, like, one day, like, you go to kiss her or something, and it's like, you smell shit. And what you don't know, right, is that, well, she licks it. She licks her own excrement. And then maybe you're like, oh, I will look the other way. Sometimes people have, halitosis, whatever. You let it go. And then, you start to get the little naggy thing going on, right? Get the meat pumping out. You guys are hanging out. Things are getting interesting. And then she goes, well, hold on a minute. There's this little thing I want you to know. And you're like, what? You doing what? Let's get back to the video. Hold on. Oh, it's just so wrong on levels. It's levels of wrong. Oh.
If you're a guy that's looking for a girl that's 5'11", almost 30, is pretty funny, but pretty damaged, who's got a great personality, I'm right here.
That's not gonna happen.
Just your friendly reminder that he's not literally obsessed with you. Remove him from the rotation.
Wow. Do you guys know what a passport bro is?
I have no idea.
You guys know what a passport bro is? You guys know? Anybody know what a passport bro is? All right, let's find out. Hold on. All right, I'm sure you can agree. Hold on, let me back it up a little bit. Let's see.
From the rotation.
Wow. Do you guys know what a passport bro is?
I have no idea.
It's basically guys going to other countries to find women that are more feminine and submissive and more traditional, more attractive.
Lady inflation is a term which describes the increase in price we have to pay for lower value women.
What?
Men have to work 20 times harder than their grandfathers to secure women who are 10 times worse than what their grandmothers were.
Facts.
The perceived increased valuation of a Western modern woman believing she's a 10 when she's actually a 5 has left many men with no choice other than to leave the dating market entirely.
I've seen that.
Passport.
I have pretty high self-confidence and I don't care what other people think, so a 10. I'm a 10.
10.
I feel like a 10. I'm a 10 and everybody's a 10 if they feel like they're a 10.
Yeah, because that's how it works.
I think I'm a 10. My girlfriend thinks I'm a 10. I'm a 10.
At the moment, I'm a 11.
I look in the mirror and I'd be like...
Being entitled is blaming your lack of relationship success on an entire nation of women.
I was very successful in England, very, very successful, but I noticed that every time I saw a beautiful woman and went to talk to her, where are you from? Oh, Sweden. Oh, Russia.
There's
oh,
no
the
beautiful
Ukraine.
women in the UK.
No, there are,
I
for
think
sure.
that's
A lot of them are foreign in London, and it's just comparatively, there are way more in Russia.
The gentleman is making the generalization that British modern women have become entitled, overweight, and are lacking in femininity.
Uh-oh.
They're therefore,
Uh-oh.
comparatively speaking, not as marriageable as some of the women in other countries. Rather than listen to his viewpoint and exploring it, what we see is instant shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. At this point, we're used to male honesty being viewed as misogyny. But it's rare to see a modern woman accuse a man of being
what's
entitled
all
and
that
racist because he prefers
hardware?
women from other countries. When the debate is lost, slander becomes the tool of the loser.
Yes, exactly.
Do you think there were any other reasons why you weren't particularly successful with British women when you were
I was
looking
very
for dates
successful,
here?
like I said.
But you've just said that most of the women that you were attracted to were foreign. So, telling women that you're potentially going to date that they're entitled, overweight, and moan all the time.
I wasn't telling them that
may
at the time, obviously.
May not be the most.
Oh, put words in his mouth.
It's not one I would recommend. This is like a process of my experience. I was in the UK until 2009. Then I traveled a lot. I've been to 60 countries. I went to Brazil. They're very nice. I went to Scandinavia. Denmark's got very beautiful women. But when I went to Russia, I found the whole package.
We see more attempts to shame and bait him into an emotional reaction. Once a man reacts emotionally, he's usually lost the argument because his over-emoting will be used to lambast him.
I'd say there's a high probability.
You should never wrestle with a pig because you'll both get dirty and the pig embarrasses. To many interviewers on TV, discussion is not usually an exchange of information. Rather, it's a platform to rile and push an agenda.
It's really messed up.
And it's no surprise that he finds Russian women to be more desirable. It's a part of the world where hyper-individualism
and Ukrainian
movement have never fully taken hold.
You're just peddling like a really dangerous, like stereotypical view of beauty that is just so damaging for women and men.
Complain to Victoria's Secret.
Human aesthetic judgment is a complicated mixture of genetic, cultural, and objective factors. But there are stereotypical beauty markers, such as health, fertility, and symmetry, to name a few.
Deal with it, you babies!
The maxim, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, is largely incorrect. Wishful thinking doesn't change things in the real world. What we're seeing here is
Billy
a modern
Idol
woman who doesn't appreciate it when men have preferences that might exclude her from consideration.
Men do not need to have preferences. Preferences are for the girls.
I want a bunch of beta orbiters and Sims fawning over me.
When basic apps are able to understand stereotypical aesthetic appeal, it's clear that an agreed broad standard of beauty exists.
I grew up with the dog filter on Snapchat, and now this filter gave me lip fillers. This is what I look like in real life.
No!
Damn! This is my face with a ring light and the bold glamour filter. This is my face with a
lies!
Ring light, no ring light, no filter. And then this is my face.
Oh!
Oh God! And this even extends to body beauty.
I didn't even know you could edit videos.
And the mask is off. Just be yourself.
Of course, some people will prefer the unfiltered look, but to suggest that a stereotypical view of beauty is damaging is an attempt to rationalize away a view.
Yeah, I prefer the unfiltered look.
There's no point in bothering some people with facts because they've already made up their mind.
Well, Richard, we have 3 English women here. Are they all fat, entitled, stupid? I mean...
He's an idiot, that guy. I hate that guy.
Who's lacking in intellectual integrity, attempting to act as the white knight of righteousness.
What a loser.
He's constructed a straw man argument, because at no point did the interviewee apply his views to all English women, or ever use the words fat or stupid. Men like this are unfortunately one of the many tentacles that make up the Matrix.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
That was a good movie.
That you're helping who currently these hugely attractive men who are highly intelligent and want to have successful committed relationships. How come these incredible men are not finding women here in the UK?
The next section of the video gets messy because
they
there's
don't
a lot of
exist.
crosstalk. However, I did some research, and the same man appeared in a British national newspaper talking about this subject. He said that British modern women want a guy who's successful, good-looking, and chivalrous, even though they don't have much to offer in return. He also says that American modern women are massively let down by their loud, often unintelligent and entitled demeanor.
Would you date a bus driver?
Uh-oh.
You. Would you date
if he owns the bus?
Nonsense.
That's a problem. The standards and the criteria that we use to measure men is off for who we are as women and who they are in this society.
That's true.
This is another example.
Wait, hold on. Let me get to you guys before I continue.
Young, I guess, but I'm 40.
Oh, gee.
Regarding Russian women, he says they're ladylike.
Hold on. Let me catch up with you guys. Let me catch up. This is good. Hold on, wait. So Felicia's he has to check his chick magnet stuff. Okay, let me go back down. Because I tried a CBD vape. Not sure it's a good idea. Does yours have the bag? Yes, I have the bag. Mine, the previous people never used the bag, so my bag is, no, you mentioned that, yeah. My bag is in good shape, but it's been used, but the bag is in good shape. Yeah, but her breath smells like a diaper. Oh, man. And, like, she wasn't, like, a bad-looking girl or anything, but, like, first of all, where does that come from? Like, why would you want to lick your own feces? And why would you want to tell people that? Lick before you stick it. ATM girls are scary, yeah. Ew. Bravo says, hey, Arch and fellas, Happy New Year. Yeah, Happy New Year. Almost. This stuff is scary in today's world. That's why I've been single, he says. I saw Cartman Bravo says, I bet you could find a hot South American girl or Ukrainian girl. Hell, maybe even a Russian or Palestinian. Yeah, damn straight. I'm going to hide in the basement. At least the washer and dryer love me. A carpenter's dream, flat as a board and easy to nail. It might be Maybelline. That's enough internet for today. Internet's something. I can't read it because that stupid heart is in the way. Yeah, one of the guys I went to high school with, I think he's kind of successful these days. I can tell by where he lives. I don't really know him anymore. But he went to like the Ukraine, and he went like before the war and all that. He went a little ways back, and he brought himself home, a very long, lanky, blonde, and it's all over Facebook. Like she loves to have her picture taken and put up on Facebook and bikinis on the back of his, hot cars and stuff. And I that's fine. I mean, there's nothing bad about it. She's an attractive woman. She's an older woman, but she's attractive. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's a guy I watch. He's like ex Hollywood, producer, writer, artist, camera person, and he has a lot of money. He doesn't need to work. He hasn't needed to work in a long time, and he does a camera show. And he likes to talk a lot about how you can buy the cheapest gear. And you don't need a lot of really expensive gear. And one of his hobbies is, apparently he met this girl. She was working in a diner as a waitress. And what he liked about her, she was attractive. She is attractive. What he liked about her is that she was very simple. And she came from a family of 7 or whatever. She never got a lot of attention. When you have like a family of 7, nobody gets attention. Pretty much, unless there's like one favorite. Nobody gets attention, and she never had a lot of money, but he's loaded, right? So he flies her all over the world, and his hobby these days, other than camera gear and technology, is taking pictures of her. And she dolls herself up. They're all over his page, and they just fly all over the place. And he says she really likes it because she was never really felt special. This makes her feel special. She never really got to explore anything because she never had any money. She raised a kid and whatever and had the usual, ex-husband and all that. And now she gets to sort of dress up and doll up. She does, she has her own show on how to diet and cook food and, make potions and concoctions for beauty and whatever. He films it for her, puts it out there on the internet. And she's a simple person, and that's, this is a man that came up through Hollywood and all of that and had plenty of money, and he probably did, and he's in great shape. He's my age, and he's in really good shape, full head of blonde hair, keeps himself nice. He's got plenty of money, and he could have the pick of anything, and what he went for was a simple girl that was not presumptuous, did not live in Hollywood or anything like that, did not come from anything like that. And she's attractive, especially when she puts some makeup on and she works out and she keeps herself in good shape. What else can you ask for? I mean, the rest of this crap that's going on is crazy. But, let me see. And Robert says, let's all mail order brides from Amazon. I like that. Yeah, because Bleach has to check his dryer out. But I can understand, because it is a different mentality, like a mindset. And a lot of this is coming through the social structures that are out there today. You see it's coming through the school system, largely. And the younger people are very vulnerable to it. The younger you are, the more vulnerable you are to it. But I see it even to some degree with some of the women I've met over the years. They've been, and I've even heard some of them say it, that on one end of the deal is that Wimenz Lib kind of screwed them over. Yeah, it definitely did. It screwed everybody over. And that was also a plant. That was a way to get women to change and to change the society that we live in. And it really started here, by and large. It really started here and then traveled to other Western countries. And that was all part of a construct. And it was also a way to take the power away from men and women and making families and the strength of family, family culture. if you can distract the women and tell them that they can be all that they can be and they can bring home the bacon and fry it up in the pan. Now you see women, they're all dying of heart attacks and they have a lot of the stress issues that men used to have, and they're feminizing men, right? But yeah, let me get up to the next part. Trying to get Ed to come up tonight. Yeah, what's Ed doing? Bravo says, hell, my ex-wife grew up in Westlake, Thousand Oaks, in Malibu. Hot as hell, a real true Valley girl. She's the dichotomy, superficial yet well-grounded, and an awesome person. It's kind of like when you're exposed to this stuff, what are you supposed to do, right? Everybody around you is acting a certain way. People, not just women, but men will pick up on this stuff after a while. And what I've noticed with a lot of women is, and this doesn't even apply to what's going on here, some of these girls, because we're going to get into some of the girls with Fresh and Fit or whatever the heck it is. These are the girls that they do the strip, they do Vegas, and they do OnlyFans, right? And you'll see they like to interview girls like that. And they have a completely warped mentality. I mean, it's really bizarre. But I've seen it. Women get older and they sort of have no use for the men anymore. Like, they think that. And they don't come around until it's too late. And they get all caught up, the ones that are raising their kids, they get all caught up in raising their kids. They completely forget about their relationship. I even said this to my friend Liz. I'm like, this is what you do. You completely forget about your relationship. You get so caught up in your children and your job and whatever the hell else you got going on, and you forget why you got married to the person in the first place. And then you start being dismissive, and you act like you don't need the guy, and then you get rid of the guy, and then next thing you know, well, because she even said to me once, she goes, I know what I'm doing is wrong, and, you know, my kids are going to grow up, and they're going to leave, and they're going to wind up hating me, and then I'll be old, and nobody will want me. I said, yeah, that's exactly right. That's right. That's exactly what's going to happen to you, because you're going to be a mess. You're going to be a psychological mess. Your beauty will be gone in another few more years, for the most part, by and large. You'll probably cut your hair short because her hair is down to her ass. And you'll be angry at the world. And then you'll be looking around for a guy, and no guy is going to want you at that point. Because why? You know, what are they going to get? You know, and then your voice will have dropped like 3 octaves. And, you know, it's like at that point, you'll be so screwed up, you'll have forgotten even how to have a relationship with a guy. Let's see, Lee Rose says, raise his hand, me, same story. Yeah, I mean, it's like the same thing. And the women become more masculine, which is just natural because their testosterone levels go up in relation to their estrogen and everything. That's normal. That happens to some degree. But what they forget is really the whole reason for relationships. And that's what I told my friend. I'm like, you've forgotten the whole reason for why you're with somebody or why you want somebody, and then they feel like they shouldn't even have one. You know, like my daughter seems to think that my ex-wife and I should not go out and date. I'm like, why? Because it makes you uncomfortable? She's like, yeah. I said, so better that we should be, you know, your parents should be unhappy and miserable and alone to make you more happy and more comfortable. She's like, right. Like, where are you getting that from? You know? That's not right either. So the children do put pressure on the parents if there's a new person on the scene, regardless of any age. It's worse when they're younger. And adults cave to this, right? Let's see. Bravo says, oh, shit, maybe different names. Is your ex's name Suzanne by any chance? No, it's Veronica, right? Archie and Veronica. That's what my ex said to me the other day. She goes, great. She goes, please don't bring me into that, because then it's going to be back to whole Archie and Veronica thing. Very funny. So I try to coach my ex-wife sometimes. I'm like, you can't do certain things. Like you can't get away with, it's not going to be anything like it was when we started dating. That's not going to happen. That's young love when you don't know what's going on. It's not going to be anything like that. And then you have to ask yourself, why are you dating? I mean, if you're 50 years old or 40 years old or whatever, I mean, what are you doing? Really? I mean, what's the attraction? And it's almost impossible to fit anything into anybody's life. If you're trying to date somebody that's younger, like a younger lady, she's going to have younger kids. And that is going to occupy her life. Yes, and that's normal, which is why they're supposed to be married and not looking for somebody else. Why it doesn't work out, it comes down to the same thing. You forgot about your relationship. And you can cause irreparable damage from that, and you'll wind up staying in a loveless marriage, and then you'll feel trapped, and you'll be pissed off, and you'll have psychological issues, right? It's not worth it. It's not. It's not. Let's get to the other part. I want to get to the other part. This is still interesting. It's crazy stuff. There we go. There I.
Like, accomplished, intelligent, and have traditional family values. These qualities are crucial because it's a woman's mindset that'll raise your child, not her beauty.
You're suggesting that there's a cheat's way to
That's
be
true.
confident and right with yourself, and that cheat's way is to just move abroad.
Shut up!
So men exploring their options and moving abroad to find desirable women who are more likely to appreciate them is now cheating the system.
Unfortunately, you're not very bright.
Maybe some men have decided that Western modern women are not worth the investment. They've decided to cut their losses so that they can come out on top in another country.
Yup.
Does the effort of pursuing a Western modern woman outweigh the reward? No! Because often, a cost-benefit analysis will determine that they represent too much risk and yield too low a return.
Why do you think so many men are traveling overseas to
Oh,
find
boy.
wives in other countries?
Men are traveling overseas to find wives. Why? I'm right here. I'm single.
No,
Why? I want to be
No,
married.
you don't want her. Watch.
Right, but I'm saying, do you typically see women traveling overseas
If
to
men
find
are
husbands?
traveling overseas to countries that have less money and less education, it's because they want a woman who is dependent on them for their livelihood, for their
No.
resources, to have a good life. And I don't think that is a good thing.
Clueless.
Accountability is a modern woman's kryptonite. Logic is her arch nemesis.
Yup.
And deflection is her ultimate defense.
Yup.
It's not because men want a woman who's dependent on them for their livelihood or their resources. It's because marriage in the West is a raw deal that poses a significant risk to the man's future.
Smart men don't get married.
It's essentially a permanent ownership of the man by the wife.
Facts.
Western society is gynocentric in the ways that government will make a special effort to accommodate women, even at the expense of men. Marriage should not feel like a pact with the devil.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah,
What do you think the
yeah.
reason that men are not satisfied with the women in this country and they're looking elsewhere outside
Men
to
aren't
other countries?
satisfied with the women in this country?
Not really. No.
Where are you getting this off of?
Well, passport bros and 90 Day Fiance. I mean, obviously, there's a movement about that.
That is the outlier. That is the exception to the rule. I don't
No,
think
it's
the
not.
majority of men are not happy with women in this country.
Yeah.
It's not really an outlier. In America, the 2020 national marriage rate fell to 5.1 for every 1,000 people. Its lowest level in over 120 years.
You better check yourself before you wreck yourself.
American modern women are prioritizing careers, travel, and leisure activities over building families. When this is combined with women's ever-increasing, unrealistic standards for what they look for in a man, it's no surprise that men are looking abroad. How else is the average man supposed to start a family?
Maybe it's not the majority of men, but it's starting to become a movement.
Would you just fart or something?
Go find your women wherever you want. If you're not satisfied, I don't know what to tell you. If you want a woman who barely even speaks English and just has to suck your
Oh, jeez. They speak English.
Women like this will always shift the diagnostic crosshairs from themselves onto men to avoid being a target for scrutiny. For every alpha female born, a cat gets a new home.
Yeah!
And many men would happily be with a traditional woman that could not speak English over a modern woman that could.
Boom. Roasted.
Men that travel abroad simply want a wife who will positively contribute to his life. And the view that women from other countries cannot speak English is obtuse, foolishly arrogant, and devoid of introspection.
A lot of the men I know that go overseas to find wives are not great dudes.
Oh.
Yeah, they're pervy.
Oh, no.
This provides a good example of why passport brothers exist.
Lame.
Many modern women feel like they're entitled to make blanket generalizations, which are offensively directed at men. Terms like creep and pervy are regularly thrown around by way of saying they find an average man doing something they dislike to be unattractive, strange, and unpleasant.
God, you're sick.
Nobody bats an eyelid at openly sexist language like mansplaining, but there'd be outrage if women were told to stop she-nagging.
In all these
Yup.
comments, I'm hearing how you are not going to tell your sons to marry, how you are happier being single, how you would rather be a passport brother and go to a different country to find a wife.
Obviously, she's referring to the men who are lucky enough to even have a relationship with their sons. When the nuclear family was the norm, and women weren't financially incentivized to raise a child alone, the chance of a boy having a gainful bond with his father was greater.
Goddamn right.
And why would a father not suggest that his son at least consider going to another country to find a wife, given the lack of good options in the West?
Now, while I empathetically, deeply understand your rationalization to this conclusion, believe me, I do.
Her heart's in the right place.
No, she
but the
doesn't.
well-fed will never understand the hungry.
It's wrong on so many levels because at the same time, you guys are asking how we fix our society and how we fix our culture.
To many men, short of sending the asteroid, society and culture can't be fixed.
No!
If you ask modern women what they bring to the table, very few can even provide a coherent answer. They want to marry a wealthy superhero, yet offer little in return.
There is a reason they took women out of the home. It should show you the importance of having a woman there, just like the importance of having a father in the home. If the key component to detrimentalizing our society and our culture as a whole in America is to remove the wife and the mom from the home, then the answer is to bring her back in.
Inconceivable!
There are many reasons for the incentivization of women being removed from the home.
So a report came out from Morgan Stanley that suggested that by the year 2030, about 45% of women between the ages of 25 to 44 are going to be single. And if you look at different conversations based upon the study, there was this emphasis on the she economy, basically the rise of an economy where women are getting into more positions of power, getting into more positions into corporate world, specifically into white-collar positions, things of that nature. And this goes back to my earlier point. One of the reasons I do think there is a big push for women to delay marriage, to not get married at all, to not have kids at all, is because, again, that gives women more time and access to work and slave away for these corporations.
And how do you bring women back in that have been raised to be strong and independent?
Remind me that I don't need a man and men are useless.
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Look at this clip with modern women revealing their body counts.
Freaky, dicky business.
Oh, this is good. Hold on.
300 something?
She's the
300 something. Hold on. That's good. Before I get to that, let me catch up. Let's see. Maybe different names. Your next name, Susan. Brett says, at least Uncle Arch isn't walking around singing sugar, sugar. He sings Summer Breeze, makes me feel fine. Yeah. I gotta do that tune. At least, like I say, I read that in front of says, man, I'd love to have a relationship with someone with young kids. I love kids. Can't get enough. My house was filled with them when mine were little. I seriously miss that. Yeah, I hear you. It is nice. No, but it's. I know somebody my friend is like that, and it's really hard. Like, I can't even make it to like the things that go on at night because of everything that's going on in my life. So it's really difficult, but it's made harder by society getting in the way. That says holy backwoods. Backwoods is good evening to everybody. Good evening, backwoods. Bravo says it's assets and liabilities. His financial assets are likely to increase over time. Her looks liabilities are likely to diminish over time. Looks is all about women's bringing to the table. Yeah, to a large degree, but it used to be that women were more of the moral compass, right? And not to mention they do raise the children by and large. And I remember when I was trying to raise my daughter, my ex-wife made it almost impossible for me to do that. Like it just became crazy land, right? And one of the reasons for that was, well, mostly because she just did not have a good family experience. Her father was an asshole, right? And so what she learned is that when it came time to actually having children, I think it took her back to that experience. And instead of looking at the guy in front of her and going, wow, I actually got a good one, it was contempt. And that's one of the problems. The other thing is that, well, without getting too political, but the very far left are Marxists. And one of the things that Marxists do is they attack the family. And the way to attack the family is to attack the women, effectively, because the state really wants the control of and the responsibility of raising the children. They want the children to be the way they want the children to be. And it's another reason why they're bringing all these people in, right? Because they want control over the people. The way to do that is to split the family. Because if you split the family, then the man has no control over the kids. He's gone. The woman can't control them. The kids are out of control. They go, and the state steps in, particularly through the school, labels everybody with some kind of learning disability, sends them to the school psychologist. Everybody gets on some kind of fucking medication. Does that sound familiar? I mean, that's what's happening, right? And now these kids are taught to think a certain way, and I have to say it, they have Marxist values. And then you add in this other component, which has to do with this alternate persuasion and pronouns, and you get a woke society that's absolutely useless and will be enslaved by corporations. And that's going on predominantly in Western societies. So a lot of the young men are frustrated by this, and then they're disempowered because they're told that they have toxic masculinity. And when they try to assert their way, which is a guy's way, a young fella is a young fella. And they try to assert that, and the rest of society looks at them as if they're doing something wrong and they're pervy or something, right? And then they try to deal with everything else, and they're just, especially these days, they're really overwhelmed, and they can't even go find a guy, right, an actual guy that can tell them what the story is, because they're told that those people are hateful, hate speech, you know. It's crazy. And say, conform will be cast out. Yeah. Robert goes, you got it. But yeah, there is a liability to it. Men tend to age a little bit better. Like, it's like I could go get my teeth fixed, right? And that would help a lot. But men, if you clean me up and shave me and put a suit on and got my teeth fixed, like, I wouldn't be too terrible. And get a hair piece or something, or start putting more Propecia on. I'm not completely out of shape. But it's hard. Aging is hard for everybody, and it takes its toll. But most men aren't looking for, like, uber beauty, right? That's not what most men look for. Even my sister says it, and she's really, I think, more bi, right? She says that men are easy. I don't understand why these women can't deal with guys. They're easy. Talk nice to them. Tell them what you want. Be straightforward. Feed them, right? And mostly just be nice to them and feed them and tell them what the hell you're thinking and what you want. And my ex-wife was trying to explain to my young daughter, because my young daughter's like, well, what do guys think? And my ex-wife is going, not much, T. They don't think deep like we do. They if you ask them what's going on in their head, it probably has something to do with the game last night, the car, the hot rod, the lawnmower. It's really this. And you think, well, are they shallow? No, we're actually quite loving and very deep. But on any given day, we're not really reading into a lot of stuff, right? It's just not all that complicated, Johnny Rose says, an old saying, hard times create tough men. Yeah, tough men create easy times create soft men create... yeah, absolutely, bro. You nailed that. Robert says, good evening to you, Backwoods. Absolutely, you totally nailed that. And again, it's not to completely beat up on the women, but the women really do have a larger responsibility when it comes to nesting, creating the home life, that kind of stuff. You can see the difference. And even in gay relationships, I've seen this. It's the same thing. It's just flips, right? A lot of the people that lived around here, well, they moved on to nicer neighborhoods, but some of them were gay. And I see it even with some of my gay friends. It's like this. It's the same thing. It just gets flipped. And the best relationships that work out, they have the same dynamic. And they stay together, and if they want kids, they do that. They can adopt, and there's other things that you can do these days. And they try to do the same damn thing, except the leverage and the pressure from this crazy society is working on them as well. And it will make people really weird after a little while. And of course, ultimately, if you make people weird enough to one another and within themselves, they're not going to get together, and they're not going to have relationships, and people are going to be alone. So that's kind of what's happening. Now, let's get to this next segment here, which shows you another view of when people go to the other side, right? The complete other side, when they completely lose grip. Here we go.
Bicycle. Mine's at like 50.
50, okay.
Yeah.
50 guys.
50. Kiko, body count?
Men and women, or?
Modern women
she's
with
like
impulse control
lost.
issues don't even know how to be desirable to men in the long term.
Everyone's had a ride.
If the maxim, a woman's body count, is inversely proportional to her ability to commit, is true, how do we get these women off the streets and back into the home?
Exactly. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
Promiscuity has become normalized, and few men want a woman who's been ran through more times than a yellow light.
No!
Building your house on sand has never been a good idea.
Do you qualify for High Value Guy? You said yes, and I'm asking you what
Listen to this girl.
That I make my own money.
Okay.
I have my own stuff.
Okay.
So high value for me would be like beyond my level kind of thing. And have my same values. Because if not, it's never going to work.
And what are those values?
I don't know. Just like agree with me.
To agree with her.
She's correct about partners needing the same values, or it'll never work. But demanding that a man just agree with her isn't a value. It's more an indication of someone with a high conflict personality, who's self-absorbed, and likely to exhibit controlling behavior.
Do exactly as I say.
Controlling behavior can also be a symptom of several personality conditions, such as histrionic,
You wanna repeat?
borderline, and narcissistic personality disorder.
Yeah.
Facts. This is something all men should be aware of, because a relationship with this type
They're talking about body count, okay, and what high value is, and basically she says to agree with me, right? That's what she wants, is for a man to just agree with her, right? She doesn't want to work with him, doesn't want to do anything. She wants somebody that, she wants a puppet. Yeah, she wants somebody to agree with her and have the same values, which is what? That she sleeps with 50 men so far, or 300? I don't know which one said 300, but one of them said 300.
of individual is often more challenging than most.
Yes.
Do you think a successful guy that has his stuff together cares about you having money yourself?
No, actually. And
So why would you list that out as a quality?
Yep.
Some of the qualities
She's
that
shot.
make a woman desirable would be things like integrity, cooperativeness, humility, and selflessness. These would be the antithesis of the requirement that a man just agree with her.
Oh my god.
The things that you're supposed to perform on being a lady, being a good, dutiful girlfriend, you said that you could do it, but you're not gonna always do it.
Always do what?
Oh my God, she's shot.
This is one of the biggest drawbacks to dating modern women.
Hold on. Now, cooperativeness, right? Now, just think about this, right? You go to build a building, a house or whatever. You got all these different trades in there, right? And guys can be cocky, especially in the trades and people that know what they're doing. And I've been around that. And they will fight with one another. They will get cocky. They'll throw their chest out, whatever. At the end of the day, the house gets built. The shit gets done. Why? Because sooner or later, they know, regardless of whether you're the guy that has to sweep up the floor and empty all of the trash into the dumpster and wire it. It's at some point you've got to cooperate, and guys will eventually. It's like a pecking thing, right? We will eventually settle in on who's actually the boss around here. Well, first of all, the guy that pays you, that shows up and actually puts the coin in your pocket. But when he walks away, if that person walks away, and it's at some point somebody's going to come around, and who do we respect? The guy that can stand up to everyone else and go, bro, you need to get this done. Let me show you. If you're having a hard time, I'll go and do a little bit of it, and I'll help you, right? And then we're like, oh, okay, right? And the men can be very compliant with each other, even after the fighting, right? It's like, you ever remember, right, you get into it with some dude and you become his best friend, right? That my friend Steve and I, he thought I took his Twinkies out of his locker in like 8th grade. No, it was Big John McCall. He said, you want these? And he sees me eating them. And I'm like, of course I'm going to eat the damn Twinkies. John told me to eat them. I sit down at the science table and Steven comes in. He's a small guy. He comes in, did you take my Twinkies? And I said, yes, because that was true. I took his Twinkies. Before I could explain to him, he punched me in the face. And then the teacher threw him up on the table, and if you ever do something like that again in my classroom, and literally threw him the hell out. And later on, the kid comes over and apologizes to me because he found out what actually happened, and we became like lifetime friends. And then, you know what? It was not uncommon for the two of us, like at some point when we would go out with a whole bunch of people and the two of us would be in the back, it was not uncommon for the fist to be flying again. Because he'd say something stupid, and I'd be like, what is wrong with you? And then we'd be punching each other and wrestling, and still friends, okay? But I don't know what it is. Like sometimes you throw something else into the mix and it just doesn't work. Women have been told that compliance is bad. That if they're compliant somehow or other, like we're going to use them. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't understand the thinking, because even men have to learn to be compliant with other people and other men, because at the end of the day, you got to get the job done. And for the most part in history, right, the garbage guys came up the block. Every time the garbage guys come up the block, all these years I've been living here, I've never seen one female garbage woman, ever. Right? It's like in so many fields, you just never see the women. They claim that they can do it. Okay, so go do it. Right? You got to do it like you're going to do it for real. Like you can't just pretend to do it. Do it. Let's see. Let me catch up. Conform and be cast out. You got it. Old saying. We got that one. Conditions normal. Yeah. Could we get a repeat on that? Got it. In other words, she wants a puppet. Yup. A parrot with a dick. And she's all laid up. Yeah. Brett says he's got to do a pee break. But it's true. It's again, this is kind of the weird distortions. Like if you want to break a society up and remove its power, right, this is how you go about doing it, because this was not always the case, right? What I've noticed, too, is in particular is that, and I've seen it in this dynamic, that if a man goes to say something, it's mansplaining. Before you can even explain yourself, well, how else do you want me to explain it? You want me to female-splain it? I'm a man. That's why I'm going to explain it the way men explain things. I'm a guy. How else am I supposed to explain it? Even one of my friends, right? He says to me one day, this is a few years back, he starts going on about toxic masculinity. And I'm having this conversation, and he's an educator, okay? And I can tell, I'm like, oh my God, you're saying all the buzzwords, bro. He's like, I can think for myself. I'm like, if you can think for yourself, then why do you sound exactly like everybody that says things like that? Verbatim. Why do you use the same language, the same words, the same dictions? You construct your sentences exactly the way I hear them from everybody else. And you say all the same thing. I said, what does mansplaining have? What does toxic masculinity have to do with this conversation? What is that? And he doesn't even know. I don't understand. We come back to this. Almost done with this segment here. Oh, where'd it go?
The practice of conditional or selective femininity.
So uncivilized.
Women like this will hold their femininity hostage and only release it if the man acts accordingly.
Subvert the patriarchy.
Femininity has become a luxury in the West and is scarce in supply. It's rarer than titanium, gold, and diamonds.
As much as the puppet masters has put in to break us as a family unit and as a society, we need to fix it, and it absolutely cannot be fixed without the help of men. Sadly, men have been completely destroyed by this feminist movement.
You're goddamn right.
No.
The puppet master does not like smart, inquiring individuals. It only...
Was that it? No. Would it freeze? Hold on. Uh-oh. Did I not get all of it? I think it froze. Uh-oh. Let me see. I think it froze or something. Hold on. Let me restart it. It's almost done anyway. Let's see.
Its lowest level in over...
I do?
Her heart's in the right... There are many reasons.
She's the village.
She's correct about partners...
This is the funnier part.
Society.
Yeah, I think it froze. Oh, I think it...
What can the average...
I think something happened to it.
Shame women and...
Yeah, right there. It must have, like...
PCs with limited programming.
Something happened to it right there.
Eyes and ears closed, as well as their brains devoid of useful knowledge.
An NPC, that's impossible.
Their appeasement is easily met with bread and circuses.
But I also don't want to shame women, and I want to bring them back home.
Not a great plan.
You can't have your cake and eat it too. It's well known.
Yeah, what happened to
make a modern
shame?
woman angry, you tell her the truth, which often involves an element of shaming.
Shame.
And I can't do that alone. We need help from men.
What can the average man do when women have no interest in them? This might be a particular bell that can't be unrung.
An average attractive male
on Tinder gets swiped less than 1% of the time, and there's 3 men on Tinder for every 1 woman. So you've distilled it, you've taken out one of the key components of mating dynamics, and that is vibe, humor, body language, pheromones, the ability to be, quite frankly, a little bit persistent in the pursuit of a romantic relationship.
Bingo.
It's also impossible to communicate confidence online, which can be a man's greatest asset.
Bummer.
And women have so many options with online dating, it allows for the undesirable to become picky.
Am I living in a nightmare right now?
This inflated sense of sexual market value is neither good for men, nor women, nor society as a whole, because people will stop having children.
We have no third.
Which is what happened.
No places to meet. People aren't going to bars, they're not sports leagues, they're going to church, they aren't even going to work. So it gets distilled down to very 1 or 2 dimensional attributes. And the reality is women are much choosier than men, and they can apply those screens, and they allocate all of their attention to a small number of men.
This is before we even mention that there are a lot of fake profiles, gold diggers, and sugar babies on dating apps.
Stop wasting my time.
It's like fishing in the sewer.
Ew!
And besides, the apps are designed to be useless.
Yes.
They make their money through advertising and charging hopeful romantics for premium features.
What a rip-off.
It's in their best interest for daters to wade through a wasteland of endless swiping, only to be rewarded with no matches.
How many of us have said, I know a ton of great single women, they can't find a date? That's not true. They can't find a date, they can't find a man they find economically or emotionally viable.
He's out of line, but he's right.
This comes back to lady inflation. Modern women overvaluing themselves in the dating market.
I'm a 10 and everybody's a 10 if they feel like they're a 10.
Yeah, just because you think
Question to
so.
the ladies that are holding out for an economically attractive man. Do you look like the equivalent of the money he makes?
Oh my God.
The practice of open hypergamy like this has been summarized as the high heels effect. In the last 40 years, more women have graduated from college than men, and they're not interested in mating with non-college graduates. If this continues, what will society look like when blue-collar men fully embrace going abroad to find wives? Imagine this next clip, but on a society-wide scale.
They won't be able to afford it. Oh, here we go. You're gonna get hurt.
No.
Oh my God. Uh-oh. Whoops. Well, I give him credit for trying. Nice. All right, let me get to kill this. That was just fun for a few minutes. Yeah, it's just something a little different. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of truth to all of this. Now, even Biden said this, right? So what is Biden doing right now, actually, in government? Why are all these people coming over? Well, he told us this in the late 90s, early 2000s. He said, okay, that in Western societies, white people will be a minority. And that's very true. And I think on average, I think the statistic is like we have been, the birth rate is something like 1.45%, right? Well, I had one child. That's not enough to replace the two of us. And that's been going on for a long time. And even Elon Musk has said this, just in general, like the population of the planet is going to crash. In particular, it's going to crash in this country. And it's also going to crash because they designed this. He told us what was going to happen. And I'll actually find that. I'll actually find him saying all of this. And it's in part been a plan, and he's been part of that plan. And that's what you see going on at the border. It's all part of the plan. It's called replacement theory. And this was all done intentionally. And that ties into a lot of the stuff I've talked about, but I don't really want to get too deep into that tonight. I just thought this would be interesting. And it's unfortunate. I mean, for me, I'm older now, and it really doesn't matter much. But it matters for my daughter and others and people her age and moving forward. They're going to have a really hard time being successful at even just like dating, right? They're going to be so confused, and it's going to be really hard for them to, start a family. And then, no, blue collar men will not be going over to other countries. They won't be able to afford it. And full stop. Okay. It's expensive. It's so hard to live here. Just in general, it's going to get worse. So where are you going to find the money, right, to go over there and spend time? And it costs money. It costs quite a lot of money, you know. See, brother says, I've been fortunate in my life and lucky I can afford one. I just don't want one, right? Right? I can't afford one. I can't afford a female. It's just too much, right, to deal with. Like, as far as, like, renting with somebody or, like, I share the house and, you know, friendships and stuff like that, that's fine. If something comes of something like that, I don't think it would, but that's fine. But I'm also set in my ways. Like, I'm not going to go pull the trigger on something and shoot my head off, right? Blow my face off, right? Because you could wind up stepping in a whole world of hurt. And I can't recover from, you know, another divorce. Like, I don't know if I've met my future ex-wife yet, you know? 50 Shades of Grey. The emotional overhead is just too great. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of emotional overhead, right? It's just a thing. It's like I sent some pics to my friend Liz the other day. It's like 4 days ago. Just some pics of like this. And wait, where's the mug? The mug is around here somewhere. Hold on, let me go find it. I'm going to go find it. I got to take a leak. I'll shut the mic off. Hold on. Let me go take a leak. And we got some other stuff to do. And I want to show you guys the mug. Hold on. Let's see. I got to find... Yeah, you know what? We'll just put this on for now.
Sir Jeremy, you are a true friend of the crown. Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly. Madam Susan, you are an even truer friend of the crown. Dilly dilly. Dilly dilly. What is that?
This is a spiced honey mead wine that I have really been into lately. So, dilly dilly, right?
Please follow Sir Brad. He's going to give you a private tour of the Pit of Misery.
I'm sorry, what? Pit of Misery, dilly dilly. Dilly dilly.
Dilly dilly.
I'm Bear Grylls, completely lost in a desert, and without water for 3 days. I have a decision to make. Drink my urine or this cold Bud Light I miraculously stumbled across. For me, the choice was simple. As horrible as it was still better than that god-awful beer.
To the Pit of Misery!
And so they go out and they need to feed their child and they don't have money. So you maybe have to, they're put in a position where they feel like they either need to shoplift some bread or go hungry that night.
Huh? Please follow Brad to the Pit of Misery.
Dilly dilly. So, what'd I miss?
You're not gonna believe this shit. That is the dumbest thing that I have.
Shut up, Doug.
Yeah, shut up, Doug. Dilly dilly.
Dilly dilly! I'm coming. Hold on. Let's see. I gotta come back. Almost made it in time. Let's see. So here's the mug. So TJ thought, well, it'd be a nice idea to see. Am I holding that right? Yeah. What it looked like. So I sent her some pics of some of this stuff. And she didn't even answer me. Like, because she doesn't think about it, right? She's got so much on her plate. And I personally think, hold on, let me see if, can I get rid of this? Let me just transition it again. Yeah, there we go. I want to make sure it clears all the stuff I don't want anything running in the background. But this is a nice piece. And I got to clean it out and try it out. And I like the way the screw top, like it comes down. But, you know, I'm sure she, you know, as I've sent her some other pictures, she likes it and everything. But why didn't I get even a text? Like, how long does it take to have the presence of mind to say, oh, my friend of 24 years, right? Let me just send him a text real quick. No, right? No. You know, just because the mind is shot. It's so involved in what she's doing with the kids, and she's so overwhelmed in her life. Why? Because, well, she's younger than us, right? She's younger than me. And she got so sucked into a particular mindset and is pulled into it. And I can tell she definitely suffers from some kind of, I want to say it's a kind of depression. That's what it looked like to me. And I didn't see her for like 6 years. So when I met her a long time ago, and I figured it would be a good idea at some point. We became very close and very, very good friends. And I thought it would be a good idea at some point, considering the difference in ages and the things going on in each other's lives. I thought it would be good for the two of us to just not, be so involved with each other, right? Because at the end of the day, right, there is no such thing as friendship with a woman. I mean, at the end of the day, you could make a friendship, but let's face it, fellas. I mean, the reason why a guy and a girl will hang around each other, there's effing reason for it, right? So I hadn't seen her in a long time, and when she actually saved my life, she was one of the people that was instrumental in actually why I'm here. And I kind of knew this would happen, and her boyfriend at the time told me that many years ago, that there could be 10 years from now. He told me once, he says, 10 years from now, and that girl will drop everything that she's doing for you if you're in trouble. And I said, yeah, whatever, yeah. And about 10 years later, that's exactly what happened. And I care very much for her, and I'm sure she cares very much for me. But her life is a mess. And I went over to visit with her after not talking to her for like 6 years. And I went over to see her, and I was looking at him like, you're in worse shape than I am. I'm like, I might be dying and all messed up and broke and everything. I'm like, but not for nothing, and getting a divorce and all this other crap. And I'm like, but I'm scared for you. Like, you don't look right. You're not acting right. You could see the depression, like deep down and the confusion, and it's not good to put all of these things on one person, let alone a woman. It's too much. They're emotional in a different way. And I think it tends to ruin their femininity. It ruins their mindset. And I said to her, I said, I would like to try to help you. She's like, you can't. You're dying. How are you going to help me? She was really upset. I'm like, well, I'm only dying right now. If I don't die and I can fix it and get myself together, I'm coming back for you to fix you and help you. But you can't. You can't help another person. They have to want to help themselves. And if you don't know how, because you've always been told all of this stuff, and you start to believe in the things that are going on, and she believes in a lot of the things that are going on. She does. And it's in direct conflict to, if I try to tell her that some of these things that she holds so near and dear in her belief system are very questionable, and I try to give her evidence of it, shut down, right? So sometimes you just can't help people. And I would suffice to say that a lot of the women that I would probably come in contact with and have come in contact with, those would be sticking points right away. And I don't think there's any way to get around any of that. You can only zip your mouth for so long, and then sooner or later you're going to say something that's on your mind, and they're going to be like, or you're going to be like, So anyway, let me catch up with you. Dilly, Red's back. Ordering a pair of mirrored safety glasses so I can be in front of the camera on YouTube. Nice, dude. Nice. As long as you're comfortable with them, and you could, you still got to be able to, with your one good eye or better eye, you got to be able to see out of it. I have problems with a lot of glasses, sunglasses and stuff. And I was thinking about I got to get a new pair. This is my old pair. My other pair's around here somewhere. And my eyes have changed again. And I was thinking about getting one of the ones that does the auto dimming and stuff like that. And I decided not to, because I actually have problems seeing out of anything that's got any kind of tint or it. I just can't see well. But if it helps and it makes you feel more comfortable and makes other people feel more comfortable, I think that's an awesome thing. You do what you got to do. And I think it's just a confidence booster. It might even just be a confidence booster, hey, whatever, right? I think it's kind of cool. Plus, you'll probably look really cool. Not to mention, this guy's got a full head of hair. Unlike me, life is so cruel. Let's see. I showed my shop today at Ken's. Sweet. Bravo says, you need to subliminally lead her out, Arch, and not tell her your logic. Women's don't deal. I know, bro. You're absolutely right. I've been trying to do that. we had a war for a little while. I think a lot of anger was coming back up for stuff that happened. We've actually passed that. And I'm trying to be, as a friend, compassionate in that way. And yeah, you're right. My logic is, I've gotten better. I've tried to reduce the amount of logic output. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. Women can't handle that kind of stuff. Little doses, little micro doses. Because like one time she said to me, you don't understand. Like, no, I don't understand. I don't. You're absolutely right. I do not understand. You have not explained anything to me. How am I supposed to understand? Isn't that I think the oldest fight in any relationship is, you don't understand me. You don't understand. Yeah, we don't understand because you don't freaking tell us. You don't say anything. We're not magicians, right? Have you saw my shop, Arch? I may do a shop tour. Yeah, dude, do a shop tour. No, you've only kind of like cruised around a little bit, showing off a few things, but you haven't done. I started trying to get Bleach to do, and I haven't even really done a shop tour. Like I've done last year, I did when I put the lights up, which is I got to do the other lights this year. The other light over there. I did like a panorama, and people have said to me, when are you going to show us the tools? Like I've got this old tool kit that my sister gave me when I was in like 6th grade. And it just sits on top of the bench, and it has just the common tools in my little tote, like my favorite things to grab without going into the rollerways. And I should make like a video on that. And I started, and I'm like, I just never finished. We all need to do a shop tour, right? Shop tours are awesome. I love shop tour. We all got to commit this coming year, right? We're all of us that are on YouTube here tonight. Everybody's got to do like a dedicated shop tour video. 5 minutes, not a 1 minute thing. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, something nice. Show off some of your favorite tools. You know, maybe a little story about where you got it, who gave it to you. Pick something, right? Think about it. I was like 6th, 7th grade. I got it for Christmas. I got this tool. It was like a JCPenney toolbox, fellas. It's still there. And then my brother David, hey Dave, if you're listening, I've talked about it. He gave me my first Craftsman. It's now black and red. I had to repaint it years ago. And he also gave me some nice S&K tools. He gave me a 1/2-inch S&K socket, 1/2-inch drive ratchet. I don't think I got the 3/8. No, the 3/8 is Craftsman that I bought in like high school. And I think he gave me the quarter drive that I use a lot. Although the ratchet's getting a little funky. So I don't use the little ratchet. My friend Scotty gave me some other stubbies and stuff that I like to use, some handles and stuff for Christmas. Let's see. I see a holy shit. But yeah, I want to see shop tours. I love shop. Holy shit. If I did a shop tour of my 2 garages, pretty much everybody would go into epileptic seizures. Yeah, because you got some nice stuff, bro. I can see. I peek, right? Like, what's that in the corner over there? What's that? What's that in the back? What's that, a lathe over there? What is that? What's that back there? Yeah. Bruce did a nice shop tour of his place. Yeah, it is nice. His shit's immaculate. I've watched a lot of those. I even watched some of his stuff when he's down South America and Mexico and stuff. But he keeps his shop really nice. Well, one of the reasons why. Have you seen the ones, because he's down in Mexico now, right? So he leaves. People try to break in and steal his shit. So he has it set up, and I've watched him do this over the years, so he can put the chains and everything through. Everything goes in. It's got to have its place, and everything needs to be closed and chained, and the door secured, because one year somebody was like prying at it. So all of that, so that he can kind of do it quick and get himself together and get ready to leave for, what is he? He leaves like for a month or something, 2 months. So that's another reason why he does that. And that requires a different level of thinking. But I think he thinks that way anyway. I think he's very neat. Yeah, the Penda lift. It's just a regular lift that he bought. He just added the thing around the outside. I have one here I'm going to do. It's electrically operated. I got to put one together. I'm going to do that. I wanted to show you guys what I was working on real quick. Now, before I show you guys what I was working on, what was that guy that you were just talking about, Brett, earlier? That guy I told you to remind me. What was his name again? Fellas, I can't find it. It's up here somewhere. What was that guy's name? I was just like looking around. What was that guy's name? Okay. I can't find it, but... Let's see if you guys said anything. Yeah, let's see. Yanagi, yeah. Let me see if I can find him. Here we go. Yanagi. Yeah, the burping guy. Hold on. Let's put the desktop audio up. Right monitor. Compilation.
This NASA discovery reverses tinnitus. Immediately. Try this tonight.
Oh, that doesn't look
good.
good.
You know tinnitus has nothing to do with your hearing, but in...
Oh my God. That's not right. Holy shit. Oh my God. Look at that girl. She's like, oh no. She's cute. The roar. Uh-oh. Yeah, the echo. She's like, oh my God. At least they take it well. She's dying. She's laughing hard. I think she pissed herself. What the hell is that sound? Oh, uh-oh. And the unsuspecting couple. That's not normal. Oh no, the mating calls. Oh no. I like that.
Right.
The kids are loving it. Uh-oh.
Veel van die mensen.
calm before the storm. Oh no! Uh-oh.
For only $9.99. You can get this multi.
This thing looks pretty cool for $10.
Which can instantly
Did you guys buy this?
Into a cutting machine. It can.
Would you guys buy this for $10? I mean, it looks like it might be useful. You know? I mean, would you even get it? It's from Temu. Like, well, will they just take your money? That's wrong.
Bueno.
They just can't believe it.
Naast de hoge de uitslag op het grote scherm 756 voor Damien Velden. Daarmee dus eerste 7.
That's wrong. Hold on. Fellas, if you were we'll come back in a minute. If you were out camping, like in the deep woods somewhere, and you heard that at night, what would you do? Right? I know I would probably freak out. You know, I'd be like, what? And you could easily tie that in, like if his friend was like walking around with like a big bear suit or something. It would be like you would hear about it. It would be like a Sasquatch like sighting, right? That's probably what a lot of this crap is, right? It would be like all through the news. Total hoax, right? But it would be perfect. It would be perfect for that. All right, let's see the rest of it. We got a little bit more to go. Hold on. Oh no. Oh my God!
Helemaal gek, jongen.
Oh, that's not funny. That's scary. Nice. Nice. Somebody got mad.
Ik ben nog steeds aan het filmen.
All right, I'm good. That's a lot. Let me close this out. That's just crazy, bros. That is absolutely crazy. This is crazy stuff. All right, let me see. Hold on. Let me go to. I want to see. Robert's got his carburetor. Let's see if we can find Robert's carburetor. Let's see here. He's got all this carburetor stuff. Let's see. Where's your carburetor? There's just screws. Let me go to Robert's channel. Let's see. Oh, is it this one? I think it's this one. Yeah, hold on. Let's see. Like I said, it's funny. Although the poor guy, I gotta tell you, that won't last much longer. Like, you cannot make a career on YouTube on doing that. At some point, it gets old, and it's like, what's your future? Let's see. I think he got the wrong carburetor. It's not a short, is it? Let's see.
Well, I kind of, how shall we say, cheated.
Cheated?
I've already ordered on eBay, and I've also got them in my shopping cart on Amazon. But you being the impatient person,
I see a dust bunny in the corner, Robert.
Before all that, called my local Ace Hardware. Give them the information. They ordered me a carburetor. But this is the number of said carburetor. I get it today. I ordered it Tuesday. They called me Thursday. Today, Saturday, I finally get it. But the thing is, I looked it up. This carburetor, and then all is nice and shiny newness.
Oh, it looks so nice.
Before you bring the Stratton engine with a fuel pump, not a gravity-fed system, a fuel pump system. I don't know if it would be wise to use this.
Why not? Try it. I don't think it matters.
Because it being a fuel pump, and plus on top of the fact, right there is the anti-fire solenoid plug-up. And it's shaped a little different than the plug.
It should go in.
Going to the solenoid on that engine, I have. Well, the solenoid is on that, naked carburetor. That ain't nothing but a piece of junk. A lot. But I wanted to install it today, and I kept putting the wrong linkages. The linkages were right. I was just putting them in the wrong spot. Now I'll just say this. I was putting the choke linkage on the throttle plate control arm. And I kept wondering, why in the fool is this thing not doing right? and it was making me say a few choice words. But
Choice words.
I finally came in, I just gave up. I said, the fool with it.
All right,
Now
you
with
can
the
try it
video.
again tomorrow.
Oh, you big dummy. You put carburetor linkage for the choke on this when it's the long.
Yeah, that's your throttle.
Rods also have that little return spring that goes in that smaller hole. When in fact the shoulder linkage, which is the choke, goes here on the choke butterfly lever. The longer one goes here. But still, the point being, this being a carburetor apparently made for a fuel pump engine, which I looked it up just to make sure I could probably use it, but I'd hate to find out that, oops, it's not the right carburetor.
No, I don't think it matters.
Difference.
Yeah, I don't think that makes any difference.
Carburetor wrong. In small engine world, you got to have the right carburetor, people. I'm just a carburetor. I don't want the wrong one. I've got to go back. Eee. So y'all have a good one. And,
Mickey 6.
See y'all later. Thank you and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year! Dilly dilly! Oh, coming back. I don't think it matters because we put fuel pumps on. I've put fuel pumps on all kinds of machines, engines, because for one reason or another, right? I'm like, well, I want a fuel pump on now. You know, there's a number of reasons why it's nice to have it. In fact, I've got on the Sunstar, I got one of those vacuum actuated, Briggs style pumps. And I think I'm just going to remove it and I have an electric one. I just got to check to make sure it's working. And I pulled it out of something. And it just takes too long for that big motor. The tank is way in the back. And the way the fuel system runs, it winds up draining back. And it's just cranking and cranking and cranking. And you just got to wait for that suction pump. That suction pump works off of the engine vacuum. So it's just really not going to pump very much. There's not a lot of pressure coming out of those things. It's just to move the fuel along. And it works. I mean, if that, those vacuum actuated pumps, it works fine once the engine's running. Once it's pulled that column of fuel and filled up that long line and got it up to the engine, it runs fine. It's just, when it's cold, you're just going to crank and crank and crank. And on a cold day, and if I've left the tractor outside and it's snowing or something like that, I think I'm going to wind up with problems. So I'm going to put, let me get the pump. I have it over here. Hold on. I'm coming. Should be over here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. In fact, I dug it out, right, because I figured, you know what? Get it in the light. And I figured, you know what? Let me try it. I don't remember what it was from. I don't remember. Let's see. So just a 12 volt. It's an automotive style. We call these clacker pumps because they make a racket. But you don't hear it once the motor's running. I don't really care for the sound of them, but I'll just kind of wire this in, and I got to test it though. So I'll test it just to make sure. And then I'm going to put it on. In fact, yeah, I wanted to go to, I'm going to scrub through some of the footage because I get a kick out of this stuff. We got a little bit of time. We're almost at 2 hours. Let's see. Let's come over to this. Just going to scrub through it. Let's see. Best way is to pre-fill the carb. That way to pump. Yeah. But the thing is, remember now, what happens is it all pulls down on the Sunstar, and it just siphons it back. And so you crank and crank and crank to pull the choke on. You crank and crank and crank. Zippo put one of these pumps on his Sunstar, one of his Sunstars, and it just starts right up. Let's see. Can you put an outboard motor primer bulb on it? Yeah, you could do that too. Sure. Absolutely. I think some of the newer electric fuel pumps aren't motor driven. They use some kind of oscillator. Yeah, they use. It's not a motor. It's not a vane pump. They clack because they're going like this. Not like this, fellas. They're going like this, right? They go back and forth real fast, and there's just a port, and every time it does that, it pulls a bit of suction. It's pretty much, it's in a similar way. It's sort of like the diaphragm. The diaphragm vibrates with every pulsation of the engine. The piston's going up and down, and puts a little movement, and it just tugs on the fuel line a little bit, tugs on the fuel column, and just helps move things along, But I'm going to test that one. And the nice thing is, I mean, generally the seats can hold back quite a lot of pressure. Most of those seats are probably good for anywhere around 4 pounds or so, something like that. I don't know off the top of my head, but it can't be that much. Let's see. Oh, look, there's a doggy. He doesn't know what's going on. He's shot. What are you doing? What are you thinking about doing? He doesn't know. He doesn't know. He was, what a pain in the neck. Look at this poor old thing. Oh, yeah, it was tough to move this thing. There we go. Dragging it out. There it goes. Get all the way back there. So one Sunstar pulling another. Let's see this thing. Well, I was hoping to get started on this a little earlier, but that didn't happen. No. So what we're going to do today is I want to get this filled up with some air. So we're going to put some slop leak in there. Oh, it's bad. And maybe I'll jack it up so that we can spin it. I can't really jack it up all the way. Doesn't it look like crap? It's just too heavy. I'd have to get in deeper. Too long. And then I got the pressure washer out, so we can give it its first pressure wash. And then it's never been cleaned. On charge overnight. Mike, are you watching? So I'm not going to film a lot of it, but she's pretty nasty. So that's like the first things that we want to do. So let me get started on that. Let's see. Nice pick. There we go. I can get to. It is leaking so bad out of that sidewall. Get it in. You can see it's all cracked. And that's the bad thing about leaving them like this. But you'd be surprised. Yeah, I didn't want to leave it like this. A little bit of this bloated. Is it coming out? No. Right. Ah, here we go. All right, there's a huge. Does it look better? Over here. Yeah. I can still feel it, but you was hearing it. And I just kept kicking it over and spinning it over. So I'm running out of time now, but tomorrow we'll pull the chains off. And I just keep kind of... That stuff works. Doing that, putting some air in it. And it went from going to quiet, and you can see the birthing pains of that green slime. Yeah. All right, we're going to leave it. We're going to see I mixed the two. It's going to be flat. But we'll be back. All right, let me give this thing a rinse. Let's see, do I have any more? Yeah, it looks good. All right, I didn't get as much done today as I wanted to. I'm cleaned up. She does look better, though. I love these tractors. Right, we'll get to the chains tomorrow. We're going to pull those chains off and see if we can get some more air in here. I think it actually has a little bit of air in it. Yeah, it just came right out. She looks so much better, fellas. You hear the noise in the background? That's Ken's small engines. Get the scum off and some of the insects. But I had it loud, but I couldn't hear it. The deck. We got to get the deck off. Chains off, deck off. We got the battery in, that's on charge. And then we can bring it in at some point. So it'll probably go in the garage. Yeah. Yeah, look at these switches. I don't know what that does. I have no idea what all those switches are. But we got to prove everything out. And once we get the PTO to work, and we can move forward, okay? And then we can, because I see some issues already. There's something There's a chain that I don't think you can see it.
There's a dog leash
dangling here, and see that hook
thing. Look,
that is not.
it's from a dog leash.
Hook, right? That's what was holding up. Oh, there's the chain there. Probably can't see. It's a little dark, but yeah, it's on a dog hook. There's an idea. So I'm not gonna spin this thing. Right? I don't want to take that chance. But she's cleaner. I mean, it's not 100%. I still see goop. I guess I didn't get in there good over there. I tried, but we're not worried about it.
Shaft drive.
First cleaning, first hosing, and
yeah, it looks good. Yeah, I gotta clean this guy.
But I can't leave it out like this for too long.
We'll see.
There's no protection, and we need.
Yeah, coming back. Yeah, that's a dog collar clip that was holding up that side of the deck. It's ridiculous. So I'm not spinning that. So the first job, obviously, is to get the tire filled up, at least for now. I got to pull the chains off. It looks like that stop leak crap is actually patching it up. I've seen it patch some pretty brutal tires. And the idea is at least get the chains off. Hopefully it holds air so I can drive it around. And, of course, when I drive it around, it'll seal up some more. I'll probably put a little bit more of that stuff in tomorrow, too. And then we'll get the deck off. I can drive it around into the garage. And it's just easy to drop the deck on concrete because you can slide it. Otherwise, to do it on the ground, forget it. You got to do it on concrete. It's heavy. It's really heavy. So it's at least clean enough now. If I can get it to hold air, I'll pull the chains off. And I'll drive around to the garage. I'll make some room. And I'll get that deck off. And then maybe, depending upon what else I'm cleaning tomorrow, I might give it another bath underneath. Jack it up with the tractor. Get it up high in the front. My tractor will lift the front of that. It can lift the back, but it depends upon where the forks grab it. If the forks grab it too much to the midsection, it doesn't have the power to do that, especially when my deck is still attached. That's 150 pounds on top of that. So I'll get all that done, and then I'll probably leave it in the garage if I can. It will run. The battery's been on charge. It was on full charge for several hours today, and then I've got it on like a little trickle charger overnight. And it's a pretty good battery, pretty new battery. It just wouldn't turn it over. It will move on its own. It was running. It's got something not right with the throttle. There's a lot of little things wrong with it. There's no PTO, so we got to figure out what's going on with the PTO. Once I make the PTO work, that's step one. So once I get it up to the point I was just describing with the PTO going and sort out his wiring and all that cleaned up, then I told him, I said, we'll figure out what the charge is for that, and then, we'll see what's next. I'll go over the deck, and we'll make the deck, because the deck needs to be inspected, lubricated, whatever else it needs. It doesn't need much. His deck's in much nicer shape than mine. We'll put the deck back. He needs a transmission and filter fluid change because that's never been done. It's going to, at some point, need, just like mine, it needs motor mounts. The motor's moving around, and I can see the belts are in the front, just like mine. They're starting to cock, and I actually, out of the two belts that drive everything, I threw one of my belts already because I need motor mounts, and so does he. And there's just a bunch of little things to do, too. All the lubrication needs to be done. He needs caps for the wheel bearings. That needs to come apart and be cleaned and relubed and whatever else. Carburetor, the both of us need carburetor rebuilds. I don't know if you guys remember, but I did that quick video on a carburetor when I accidentally, when it sucked in that bolt, and I caught it just in time before it went into the motor. Yeah, well, somebody glued on the bowl of my carburetor. It's glued on there. So I need to get rebuild kits. Hopefully my carburetor bowl is okay. Hopefully there's nothing else wrong. So that's another thing that needs to happen. There's a lot of little things to do on that before it leaves here. But not everything has to be done all at once. So I got to get to Mikey's mini bike. That's coming up. So I want to go through his Tecumseh motor. I found that nice 5.5 horsepower engine. I'm going to go through that. We'll pull the head off, kind of lap the valves and a quick hone and put everything back on, make it nice, neat, and clean. Spark, all the other stuff, get it nice, drop it on the mini bike, get everything sweet, tightened up. A couple of little mods, give it a little bit of clear coat, make it pretty. Let me see what you guys are saying. Hold on. Bravo says, can you put outboard motor bulb on it? Yes, that is something you can do, But I still might even do that. But these work really well. These work really, really good. Yeah, there's some kind of circuit. Brett says it's not horrible. I've seen a lot worse. Yeah, right. And it cleaned up really nice. I mean, it looked pretty rude. We've got the better chains that are on the Simplicity Sovereign. The Sovereign. He wants those chains. Worst comes to worst, I don't know if he wants to put a tube in this tire, or we might be able to use the Sovereign's tires. They might actually be better. In fact, that was one of the things, another thing I wanted to do, which I don't know we're going to get to that. I want to try to fill the Sovereign's tires up, put a little slop leak in there. Because the worst thing you can have is, especially over the winter, is, as you guys know, you let the tires go flat. It ruins them. If they have any life left in them, you shorten the life. Does that have the Magnum 20? Yes, it has the Magnum 20. It's just like mine, except it's in a little bit better shape. Robert says, I'm laughing my ass off as this video. Someone needs to find a fart in public video. Yeah, no, but that's worse, though. That's gross because it stinks. You know, Brett says, by the way, Arch, Homer is going on a mobile job this spring, out of town, but not out of state. My church and I are going to West Virginia. Nice. Nice. What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing down there? I also wanted to show you guys something else, too. Look at this. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. Got the van working now. Look at this thing here. I can't sell it. Nobody wants it. Just take you around real quick. Nobody wants it. I got it up for $300. This video will be out soon.
But here's how I see it. I think there's a metaphysical aspect to all of this.
Isn't it pretty?
I'm gonna say that there are beings that live on higher planes.
You can't sell a snowblower here. It's just because it hasn't snowed in a couple of years. And nobody has any money. It runs good. I got this for free. Juan gave this to me. And I went over it. The thing that was really wrong with it, somebody took this handle. This is from a lawnmower. The handle and this cable, this extension piece was missing. I don't know why. So I took one off a lawnmower. I put the little stop on it over here in the lower right or upper right. Made up a cable for it. And I went over the whole thing. And it runs really nice. Does a nice job. By the way, is this it? Yeah.
All right, fellas.
$17, fellas.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a metal wiper.
Hella.
And then the blade, right? But a metal wiper body. Two of them, 18-inch. Hella. Right?
Yeah.
Remember they used to make the lights? Is that the same company? I have used some Hella products before. Under $20 on Amazon for my van. And I thought, you know what? I mean, yeah, you can get like name brands. Some of that stuff is ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
But I needed some wipers. The wipers I have on there are starting to go, and I want to make sure I have a backup laying around.
Yeah, and I got the those are the cables. Yeah, this little guy here. All right, I cleaned it up. It was just dirty.
I started scratching it just with a little wire brush. I think I'll just clean it with a wire brush and a little Scotch Brite, and then
look at
put
all
it in
the
that bag
gook on
and
it.
hold onto it.
Hey? But I bought a new one.
You can
Fuel
see
pump
that.
relay.
I mean, I can't see it on a little camera screen, but
a little Scotch Brite.
That looks pretty good. A little bit of green Scotch Brite. All right, but it's okay. So this one went here, and that one I had sprayed some stuff on it, but we might want to give that a quick cleaning. It looks pretty good. It definitely doesn't look like, I remember I sprayed some chain wax on it, but it doesn't look like a problem. So that's where it came from. That again runs the AC system, which is freezing out right now.
That's the new relay.
This is our new guy. All right, and let's give it a shot. Oh boy.
Oh, yeah. No problem. All right, let me close this up. Let it run for a little bit. Yeah. It's been starting fine. Yeah, it's good to go. Let's see if coming back. So like I mentioned to you fellas a while back, I'm like, oh no, I hope it's not the fuel pump, because I had replaced that fuel pump, but it doesn't have a lot of, hours on it, really. I don't drive the van all that much. Last time I took the tank down, I cleaned and painted the tank. I cleaned underneath there. I did some fuel line work. And it's been a while, but it's not a lot of miles on it. And it stopped working. And I'm like, I think I mentioned to you fellas, like, I'm going to go through the whole diagnostic and everything. And of course, you start off with the relays. So I just took the one relay, that second relay, which runs the AC, and I just popped it in and things started up, and I've been starting it and whatever, and I ordered another relay and it just got dirty. But I put a new relay in anyway, and I held on to the old relay, put it in that bag from the new one, and threw it in the glove box because it's been on since day one. And I did measure them, and they're within like a couple of ohms. But to be on the safe side, I think I paid $13 or something for that, original Omnicron or whatever relay it is. I think I'll just do like a quick video on that, because even though it's not really pertinent to the channel, I've been putting up videos on fixing the van and, used cars today. Cars are becoming so ridiculously expensive. And when I started looking up stuff for like Chevy Astro vans, and it's an Astro, it's an extended Astro. It's the GMC Safari, and it's a custom van. But they're like, it's huge now. I think a lot of used cars are becoming huge on YouTube because they're so expensive. Everything's so expensive. Let's see. Let me catch up. Let's see. So Brett says Pastor wants to do the sidewalk front porch of the church, just like what Billy and I did. Nice. Jamie says, oh, those are nice blows. They are. Nobody wants it. Not even a hit, because people don't have any money. Bravo says, what part of West Virginia? In one of my careers, I spent a lot of time. One of my careers. Yep. In one of my other lives. Wellsburg. Nice. Virginia's so nice. One of the most beautiful states we have in this union. Folensby, Warwood, right across the river from nice. So, nobody wants it. It's like, I stopped doing a lot of stuff. I've got, I got a video coming out on 28-inch, 9-horsepower Tecumseh powered conventional snowblower, dual stage, right? Craftsman. Nice older one. Probably 2008, something. Beautiful shape. One of the town guys dropped it off. He's got it back. And I put a HIPAA carburetor on. His carburetor was dead. The fuel tank was gack. Water, alcohol, carburetor death. And I picked up the HIPAA carburetor, so shout out to HIPAA. But I got the HIPAA carburetor with the adjustments on it, like the high speed and the low speed, the idle adjustment. So full jet adjustment. And I figured, all right, what I'll do is I'll split the video up, and I made the first video on how to tune a carburetor. And as you guys may know, like any carburetor that has adjustments on it, really, this is like an educational for any carburetor, really. But people that don't do this don't know that. So, although I mention it in the video, my guess is it'll never be a popular video. So it's like 20 minutes of me talking about and showing, going in, making the adjustment. Where do you start? Which one do you do first? What are the RPM speeds that you're looking for? Why are you turning it in? Why are you turning it out? And I didn't want to get too technical about it either. I didn't even get into like airflow, or just try to keep it simple. And I talked a little bit about, when you get lean best. We used to call this back in, you automotive guys, Johnny probably knows, lean best, right? That's an automotive sort of hot rodder tune. When you tune a carburetor back in the day, right, you went for lean best. Now with something like a snowblower, it's just spinning one little pulley. Nothing's happening. So I said, look, you want to tune it to lean best and then pull the jet out just a little bit, because you want a little bit of extra fuel enrichment because you're not doing this under load. So when it goes under load, you want to make sure there's that little bit of extra fuel there available for it. Let's see, right across the river. I tried it on the plug, no fitting. Dark green? What's dark green? Spent you must be close to Pittsburgh, Liberty bunch of time. See, I'm getting in on you guys' conversation. Those adjustments aren't for the average Joe. Those are for us. I know. So I'm like, I'll make the video anyway because people have asked me, what are you doing with, like on blowers and chainsaws? And I'm like, look, I want to make a video on cleaning the disc, the usual, lubrication points, putting the carburetor on, right? That's going to be separate. And I'm not going to get into tuning it. And at least I'll have the video up. It ain't going to get a lot of views, but it'll be in a folder in the library, and then there'll be the other videos for that snowblower. So, you know, we not everything we make, fellas, is going to win big and get the big views. It just isn't. And you could think, well, should I even do it? Yeah, do it, right? Do it. If it's good practice. It was a hard video to do. And I almost ruined the video, too. I almost ruined it because, well, number one, I used the cheaper camera, which I should not have used the cheaper camera. I should have used this one. And so that was lesson number one. The second lesson is, and another reason why I should have used the better camera is because, number one, the screen flips up on this camera. So I can see myself right now. So I can see the framing. And even if I can't see the framing, I can put this cell phone, this one up over here. See, this cell phone right here is actually controlling that camera that it's looking at. And so the cell phone, it used to be that cell phone too, but I don't know, some update, and now I can't connect this phone to that camera. But I can connect this phone to the camera, which is an even bigger screen, right? So the glare, right? And, you know, my eyes aren't all that great, right? You're outside. Well, I'm putting the tack on top of the plug. And so if you could imagine, you see where I am, right? I just about got the screen in view. And I was like real close to the top. And that's a no-no, right? I should have, because you could see like down the way I had the camera aimed, it was down too low. It should have come up more, but I really couldn't see it because one, this camera does not have the screen on it. It doesn't have the screen that flips around. It just doesn't have that. And even if it did, there was glare on it, so I couldn't really see it. It's a great camera, but you know, it's got its limitations. Also, it's not a 4K camera, so it doesn't have the resolution, even with the better lens, whereas this one does. And when I want to punch in, not optically zoom in, not digitally zoom in, but zoom in and edit, with this camera, when it's running in 4K, I can just go into my edit, punch in, I get a close-up like as if I took the camera and just shoved it right up against the thing I want to show. This camera, you can't. It just doesn't have, it's 1080p, but it records at 50 megabits per second. This records at 100 megabits per second, so it's not as clear. I almost blew the shot, but you can see it. Plus, I put the tags in, the text in, you know, describing the RPMs and other stuff as well. So I just managed to get it, but I was a little disappointed. But it's a learning lesson. Like it's a lesson to myself at moving forward this coming year. Like one of the things that I want to improve in my video work is doing the right setup, thinking about what I'm going to do. Can I get away with the cheaper camera or should I be using the better camera? Why am I leaving this thing sitting on a stand doing nothing when, why? Because this one's a little easier, right? It's the mindset, right? It's training yourself to want to do a better job. And if you have the tools to do the better job, why are you not doing the better job? So it's practice. But I think the video will come out all right. And like I said, whether people watch it or not, you know, you can't always worry about that, you know. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see, you guys are chatting. Enjoying my machine was one of my most frequent visits. Hold on. Right across the river. I tried it on the plug no fitting. Dark green. Must be close to Pittsburgh. Those adjustments aren't for the average Joe. I know. My machine was one of my most frequent visits. I am close to Pittsburgh. Rose says the engine on the Craftsman YS is gravity-fed system, not like the one that is on the GT tractor with the Kohler twin-cylinder Pro Command. Yeah, but it doesn't matter, right? The carburetor needs to be the correct size. I don't think it matters whether you've got a fuel pump on there or not. As long as it works, what the hell do you care? I put all kinds of carburetors that never came on things, and I put them on all manner of engines constantly. In fact, the last time I did, when I was working on the green tractor, the green rider, and there's a video on there where I talk about this. I put a smaller carburetor on that would originally came because it ran better. And I talk about why I did that and why it runs better. So I put a completely different carburetor on that thing, and I made it run correctly. So I put a smaller carburetor on a 10 horsepower Tecumseh engine than what came on it. And I talk about why I did that. And I show it. Let's see, been to tons of coal shows at David Lawrence Convention Center. The carburetor cost me, oh my God, $161. That's why I go to HIPAA, right? I don't buy original stuff. I can't afford it. You know, nobody can. Like, if I own a machine, if I buy a machine, I'm going to fix it and sell it. These people won't spend the money here. If I would have put it, that's almost a $200 carburetor. There's just no way I can put a carburetor like that on a machine and sell it and have enough room. That's $100. I might only make a few $100 on like a tractor. And tractors take longer to do than lawnmowers because there's a lot more to do to them, and there's more things that go wrong with them, and you have to split your time up. So that's a problem. Oh my God, $161. My favorite rock station, Pittsburgh, 102.5. It's a Briggs & Stratton carburetor. Yeah, I know. They're expensive. Spend lots of time in Console Energy headquarters, too. OEM carbs aren't cheap. No. Yeah. Pull Carters, Rochester's, and replace with Hollies. Yeah, how about the other way around, right? I had, a bunch of years ago, on that Nova, I put a Rochester on it. Got rid of the Hollies. Got rid of all of that because they're not as good. They're just not. You have to know how to tune a Rochester. Because of the spread bores, I got awesome performance out of it because you got these big secondaries, but you got these small primaries, and that's where you get your signal from for the lower RPM range. I even had a ton of Holly spread bore carburetors for a while. I bought up a lot of those, and I was playing around with them. I found the Rochesters to be much better. The spread bore Hollies weren't all that good. Let's see. It's pretty good luck with HIPAA. Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple of bad HIPAA carburetors, and I've showed them. And HIPAA knows because I show them on my channel, like what's wrong with them. Backwoods Boy says, Brett, where you need Pittsburgh? I live about 2 hours away from Pittsburgh. I'm out towards Lioneer. The county I live in is in Somerset County. Robert says, I love how the side discharge is on the left side instead of on the right side. Yeah. Bro says, nope. Holly's all the way, man. Last me, yeah. And it was great going to shows and stuff and showing people, and they're like, oh my God, they just could not believe I got a Rochester to run like that. But yeah, they're very good because of the spread bore, right? And that's what really does it. And so if you really want to tune it, and when you know a lot about velocity and how to get a good mixture and a strong signal to the engine, how to cam it and all that stuff, most people just default to the Holly square bore carburetor, and it's really not the best way to go for street. Like if you want to make a lot of power, well, yeah, that's one way to do it. But the Rochester will do it too because there's these huge secondaries. I still have like 3 or 4 of them up there. Okay, those are the ones that I wasn't really looking to use. So the one I put on the Nova, yeah, that was sweet. Nutty promises Rochesters make a lot of noise, but not much power. Oh, they make a ton of power, bro. But people don't know what to do with them. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think most people get rid of the Rochesters because they don't know how. They don't understand them and they don't know how to tune them. I've got tons of parts still for Rochesters. And they look at the Holly and they go, 2 jets, pull it apart, power valve, I'm done. Right? I've had drop leg annular boosters. I've tried literally everything. And I've had a lot of fun doing it, but I spent a lot of time tuning. So, and I was like determined. I'm like, it ran so good. It had the choke on it. When you would start it in the cold weather, you just hit the gas once, it would set the choke, it would come off on its own. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta defy the masses and go with what you want to do. It's just easier to put a Holly on. Not to mention, what's nice too is the Edelbrock Performer. Those are based on, they're like a cross between a Carter AFB and a Rochester. Those are nice. Those are nice carburetors. We had one of those on the Camaro that was here. That was a nice car too. It just started to rot. And it needed a lot of work. And I was like, all right, I'm done. Nice. You guys should hook up. You guys are close enough. Yeah, that was fun. The Rochester. Since you're a young guy, I'll give you a pass. You have a lot to learn, Grasshopper. No, you should learn from the younger guy. You have a lot to learn, old man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just a lot of people, they just don't want to let go of the Hollies. They don't want to learn anything new. You old-timers, you guys don't want to learn anything new. That's the problem I ran into. Like, I've been doing this for 30 years. And I sit back and I go, yeah, and you've been doing it wrong for 30 years. Step away. Step to the side. Let us show you how. Right? I wish I still had a car to fool around with. Maybe one day. We'll see. It's going to be a while. Like, I can't afford it. It's not going to happen. Just isn't in the cards. It might have been fun to fool around with that old Ford I was showing you guys. Something will pop up, but things have just gotten too expensive because they don't want anybody to have cars. I was going to talk a little bit tonight about the EV thing, but it's getting kind of late. But yeah, Ford's done with EVs. And it's kind of a shame too, because they spooled up to build this plant and they're building all of these EVs and trucks and everything, and nobody bought them. And so now they're firing off all the people. A lot of these people that got these jobs at these plants, or in the one in particular, they were thinking, well, EV is the thing. It's the way of the future. And, maybe they were thinking I'm going to have a job and I can, have a consistent income from my family and all of that. And nothing could be further than the truth. Right? They bought into this whole thing and it's just not going to happen. It's not ready for prime time. Real shame. So I was going to put up some articles for that, but I just didn't get that far tonight. I've been too busy. Robert says, shit, I was throwing Rochesters away since you were in diapers. I wish you threw them to me, bro. If only you knew what you were throwing away. If only you could understand. Yeah, I sold a lot of my Holly spread bores. I had a whole crap load of them. I collected them for years. And they worked okay, but the Rochesters were better. And the Carter AFBs were fun, too. Those were pretty fun. Those are complicated. They're a little bit more difficult to deal with. And they have some other issues, too, the way they were made. But the Rochester is completely tunable. The problem that most people had with them is they would leak. And once you solve that problem, then you can invest some time in the carburetor. The other problem that people had is they're not good for drag racing. They make a tremendous amount of power because they have the secondaries with the air doors, and you have to know how to tune an air door. The throttle opens up the secondaries, and it's progressive, but it's the air door tuning and the lift rods and the needles and the lift rod. So you have to know how to tune that. But the bigger problem with it is it doesn't hold a lot of fuel in it. And if you really, the other thing too is that if you're drag racing, it doesn't have like a separate rear bowl or a way to control slosh. There's a thing that you can put in there to stop pullover. It's like a baffle, but it doesn't really have a big reservoir. So if you're talking about a lot of G and you're trying to launch the vehicle, you're going to run into problems. It's not for that. It's not for drag racing. Definitely not. It's a street performance carburetor. If you want to drag race, you're going to have to go with something a little bit more conventional. Let's see, diapers. Hopefully I'll win a super clean giveaway in Ellis Mowers. Nice. Yeah. Give me a Mitz and Merrill chipper with the 306 inline Ford engine. Nice. Those are big. Spread bar anything sucks. Robert does not like them. The problem with Rochester is when the larger secondaries snap open, the low pressure in the plenum goes away. Not when I tune it. That never happened to my 400, right? Not when I got done tuning it. It didn't bog. There was no quadra bog happening, right? It's all about tuning. That's what the air doors do. If you don't get those air doors adjusted right, either you won't make any power or you'll bog. It's just that simple, you know. And I had huge valves, too. I think I still have one of those valves here. I showed you guys, I think, last week some of the heads and stuff. Let's see. Yeah, I got one valve here. I don't know how many valves I have here. This is the one that's left. It's 2 1/4 inches. That's just the intake. Nice stainless steel, swirl polished. This was an expensive motor. I think this was one of the stock valves. My God, look at the difference in size. I don't know if you can see that. Look at the difference. All right, I'm just biasing it towards the edge, but you could see. And they actually had pretty big valves in those Pontiac motors. I don't remember what the exact sizes are. I think this one is tulipped, 2 1/4, I believe. And I had no issues with flow, but you know, flow is important, but the consistency of the flow is more important. Total flow only really occurs when it's revving at its highest RPM. The rest of the time, the signal gets soggy, and that's why spread bores work really good for street engines. Let's see. Robert says, Rain-X wiper blades are definitely not cheap. That's why I went to the Hella. Respect the van, man. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm like looking around. I'm like, look, I just need some wipers. I need to make sure I can pass inspection and clean my windshield off, and I don't have much money. So I saw the Hellas, and I actually bought them a couple of years ago. And I was like, you know what? I had a couple of Hellas on here a couple of years ago. They've lasted for a while. I'm like, let me get another set of Hellas. Cheap. Metal blades, you know, and I just need them for inspection in another couple of months. Like, I'm not spending $60. It was like $60 or something for like a top quality brand set. Like, I'm not buying that. I can't afford that. What the hell happened? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. The world is falling apart, and they're charging you for it at the same time. They're like charging us to actually make the world fall apart. It's crazy. Yeah, so these cars, and I think GM, the head of GM announced that they're going to have to raise their prices for their new cars by 50%. That's insane. So I wanted to put a video together on that. I just didn't. I don't have the time to make some of these videos right now. I want to see if I could just spend maybe the next 2 or 3 days outside. I might get 2 days out of it, just cleaning equipment and packing it in here, because they say January is going to be super cold, which means February will probably be brutal. So that's 8 weeks of potential, like, Arctic temperatures here, possibly snow. Let me tell you something. If it snows, that snowball will go. All right, let's hope we don't need it, but so I'm not going to invest any time in the snowblowers thing this year. It's just not worth it. if I had extra time, I would put some energy and money into snow blowers and leave them sit, keep them going. Because if it snows hard, then people will pay whatever. Because the stores run out quick. But if it doesn't snow, and the fact that it didn't snow last year, nobody is looking to buy anything regarding a snowblower. Which is kind of foolish, but they just don't have the money. Things are too expensive. Yeah, I know, right? That's what's going on, man. It's $60 wipers. Like you're seeing, it was higher than that. So I think it was Ken last year was telling me he was on a Saturday Live or whatever in the morning, and he had to go buy wipers, and they were ridiculously expensive, but he needed it. You know, fortunately, there's still some alternatives, whether or not they're any good. But I don't know, $60. Yeah, you don't get snow. You know, my brother still wants me to go down to North Carolina, but I don't know. We'll see. You know, it's my daughter's up here, and I don't know. I would at this point now. I would need a really good plan. And my other concern is I'm getting old. Like I'm broken. There's things wrong with me. And it's hard starting over. Like it is really hard. So if you're not settled in someplace, I don't know if I have it in me to do that again, to do everything I did again. Like that's a lot. Now, if you have money, it's different because you can have help, because you can pay people. You know, so that's a thought, but I don't have the money. And I don't see the point of it because it's a bad time, because at some point the real estate market is going to crash, which is another topic. I don't want to get too into it because we're coming up on 2,033 minutes. But at some point it's going to crash. And so when it does, all these people that are buying homes right now that are now up around $500,000 for something that should have been about $200,000, what are they going to do? They'll be paying very high taxes and high mortgages. If they tried to sell the home, they would owe money, most likely. So that will bankrupt them. And it only pays to sell a $500,000 home if you're going to a place where it's like half of the cost. And the areas in North Carolina where I've looked, that's just not the case. I mean, I can't be too far away from, let's say, a doctor in a hospital because of the medical issues I have. Half hour, right? But it wouldn't be putting a lot of money in my pocket. It would almost be a wash. It would give me a little bit of extra money, but you know how money disappears quick, especially when things are ridiculously priced. So I would want a little bit more property. I would prefer to not build a garage. I mean, I would rather live in a little... I would almost rather live in a shack or, you know, I don't know, a trailer home and have a really big garage with a decent amount of property. You know, at this age, right? And those things are around. I've seen a few, but they get a little further away from where I would prefer to live because of the issues that I have. And I'm going to be getting older, so, you know, I'm not getting any younger, fellas. And then the last thing is that, well, my daughter, I don't think is ever going to be able to afford to buy a house. I just don't see her generation, unless things dramatically change. Her best bet is to wind up with this one somehow. There's a way to procure it and nail it down. So that's a possibility. TJ says he wants snow. Yeah, because you got all these snow blowers that we got going for you and everything. That's why. Brett says, if it gets that cold, I'm going into hibernation. Cold and warfarin do not mix. What is warfarin again? I forget. Dude, there were 2 days last week where I said, you know what? Time out. I need rest. I was cold. I couldn't move. I didn't want to move. I was cranky. I was old. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing anything. I got to take a couple of days and just not do anything and stay warm. Now, I was out all day. I got a little cold at the end of the day, but I was out all day. I don't know if it's like 50 degrees or 45 to 50. The wind was blowing. It was dark here. And I was pressure washing. And I was laying on the ground, changing oil, and I was moving around. and I was dressed warm. I had my black shirt on. By the way, TJ, Christina says thank you very much, and she wound up with the black extra large because she wanted an extra large because that's what she likes. She's a girl. She's my daughter, and I gave her a shirt, and she's just very happy to have it. So I said, you know what? I'll use this one. This is the extra large, so I want to keep this one nice because I don't have a lot of clothes. I don't have a lot of clean clothes. I got a lot of crappy clothes with filth on them. So I'm going to keep this one for the winter and for putting over other sweatshirts when it gets real cold. And then that black one that I was wearing, that's going to be my shop. You know, if it gets dirty, it gets dirty. Because I need something decent to wear, right? I can't just, you know. Let's see. Oh, yeah, the blood thinner. Yeah. I seem to, I forget names. Robert says, the carburetor model number is blah, 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 the carburetor that I got from my Ace Hardware. Okay. Let's see that. First, I'm going to search DuckDuckGo. That's these. Yeah, fellas, let's take a look. So, searching this number, that's this carb here. It looks just like this one. And let's see, you brought 594605. Say, $22, bro. This is what I was telling you. This is the Nikki variant, right? And that's why I play with these. And then this is the other variant. This is the non-Nikki variant, I believe. Okay. $22. That's why I play with stuff like this, because I can afford it. And I don't play with, in fact, this one, I'm going to save this one in my my list. That one's kind of neat. And the other one was kind of neat too, as like a Nikki Quickie. A Nikki Quickie. Yeah. Yeah, this is the other one. Let me save this one too. Just like a general list. Just in case. All right, where did I go? I go back to here. Let's see. Brian says, my kids are waiting for me to kick the bucket. Oh, no. So they get my houses and farms. Joke on them. I'm living for freaking ever. Yeah, TJ's like, no. She's very welcome, Arch. Yes, bro. It's awesome. Brett says, I have a fib. That's why I'm on it. Yeah, you have a fib. Yeah. So now you have two large in black, color, and joy. Yes, yeah. So I got the larges. So one's going to be, a nice one. They don't ruin it. And the other one's just going to be the shop dog. This one's going to be the nice one. Okay. And I can put this over whatever clothes I need to put on. It'll keep me nice and warm, which is nice. And I got some of the t-shirts. So I said, well, I got a lot of crappy t-shirts and I need to turn to rags. Like it got bad. Like clothes stopped fitting me because I lost all that weight. So some things didn't fit me anymore. When I got out of the hospital, I was 144 pounds a few years back. You have any idea how skinny that is? Nothing fit. Nothing fit. And I had no money, right? Because keep in mind, like when I was a mess, and the lawyers froze my accounts. I literally had $40 in my wallet, right? And they're like, come to court. I'm like, well, I'm really not feeling well. So I had to hire a lawyer on like credit. And I didn't even have money for gas. And I remember when I had to go see a specialist, right? Endocrinologist. And she was freaking out. She was absolutely freaking out. She's like, you got to fax me every day. Like, I'm not faxing you, you know, 'cause they want you to like measure your blood every couple of hours. When you're in the hospital, they do it every half hour. And she's like, I need you to send me all this information, and I need you to go see a nutritionist. I'm like, you are all of you. I'm like, I don't even have any insurance. I canceled everything. I didn't even have a cell phone. And my friend Liz gave me this piece of crap cell phone, which she paid for a little while, right? Just for emergency. She's like, oh my God, you're going to die. She's like, I can't believe you're even alive. You shouldn't even be here. You should be missing more than your teeth. You should be missing pieces. Why are you not in comas all the time? I'm like, because I made an arrangement with the good Lord. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, never mind. I'm not gonna get into that. They're all freaking out. They're like, you need to. I didn't have any money, nothing. I didn't have a job because I was taking care of my daughter for almost 4 years, homeschooling her and stuff. So I didn't have anything. So I actually had to start selling some of my tools and stuff just to have enough money to pay my car insurance and you know, put some gas in the car and pay a couple of bills, whatever. I could only stand up on my feet and do something for about 4 hours. You know, it wasn't anything I couldn't see. When I first started making a couple of my videos, Brett, I kind of get it, right? I could not see at all, right? I was working on stuff, and I would have to, like you, when you have to like look real close. If I had to see something, I had to bring it very close to my face. And most of the time, I really just couldn't see it. You know, there was something there. I could tell there was something there, obviously, but I had to kind of go by feel a lot of it. And it would hurt my eyes after a while. Like I couldn't just keep staring at stuff. And I was working on that Volkswagen. At one point, I had to finish putting in the floorboards, so to make some money. And I'm welding, and my blood sugars would go up and down, and a lot of times they would crash. And yeah, it would get bad. And I remember one day I was like, I think I called Liz. I asked her for some help or something. She's like, should you even be welding? Oh my God, what are you doing? I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I got to do something. I can't just sit around. I have to try to make some money. I couldn't see what I was welding at all, you know. And it came out all right. I had to feel it. I would weld by the technique. I would the bright light helped a little bit. But then when I would get done, I would cool it all off, and I would look at it, get real close to it, put a lot more light on it, and I would feel it. I'm like, yeah, that feels about right. You know, what are you going to do? I mean, you could just off yourself. I mean, if you want, you know, but I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm like, I can't just be defeated that easily. It doesn't, you know, that's not going to fly. I'm too young for that. So it was an interesting time. You know, TG says, so now you have two large, yeah, those are great shirts. Brett says, sure to tell her I said hi. Yes, I told everybody too. Touch and feel method. And still, you know what? When you do body work on a car, everything is like, you look at it, yes, but you kind of like look the other way and you feel it. And you have to touch stuff. You know, it's kind of how you know. You could look at it all you want, but looks can be deceiving. You need to put your hands on it. And the thinner the gloves, too. Certain gloves will give you weird feelings, so sometimes you need to take the gloves off. Let's see. Robin says, which one do you like, 2-barrel or 4-barrel carburetor? It depends. It depends upon the engine. Robin says, holy shit, Arch, that just makes me want to cry, man. It's just what people go through. Crap happens. You know, I literally had no money. It was really bad. They tried to take my house from me. That was the plan. The plan when you get divorced is to bury the man especially here in New York, because it's a Democrat state. So the laws are, what did they say? It's gynocentric, right? No, it's vaginal-centric. The whole plan was to bury me, literally, to bury me in debt. They loaded all of the debt on me, knowing I had no work. I had no job. They deliberately did that. I went, oh, I see the plan. And then they really force you. They at one point, they wanted to arrest me. And I said, all right, you can arrest me. I'm like, but if I would really recommend that you bring me to the infirmary when you arrest me, because I won't survive a night in jail. And then you'll be burying me, and then somebody will eventually sue you people, I would imagine. Probably my ex-wife. All right. So, and they were like, oh, yeah, that would be a thing. I'm like, so go ahead. I'm like, it really doesn't matter. I'm not going to, it's no disrespect to the court or to the lawyers. I told them that. It's no disrespect to any of you. So I played the game, but a lot of it I did what I wanted to do, right? Because it didn't matter at the end of the day. Meanwhile, my daughter's still in the hospital. I actually the second time I had to leave the hospital. And I said to my daughter, I'm like, I got to go. I have to go check myself back into the hospital. I'm not going to last much longer. And I felt really bad telling her that, because she was in the hospital. That's a really hard thing to say to your daughter who's not doing well. And you're kind of like sleeping there or whatever and just trying to be supportive. And then you're like, all right, I got to go because I don't think I'm going to make it through the night. And that was really hard. But she handled it really well. And I just dealt with it. Made everybody laugh at the hospital and everything. It was fun, actually, in a way, in a weird way. But I just kept rolling through it. And I'm like, well, look, you can try to do all of this stuff. And at the end of the day, I'm going to try to deal with this the only way I know how. And what I really asked, I think at one point, I think I've told the story before, there's a moment in time when you're laying there and everybody in the hospital that's in the emergency room, when they put you in intensive care, you're in with everybody else that's in intensive care. So you're getting out of there one of two ways. You're either going to go in a box or you're going to somehow walk out of there. Somehow. That's it. That's the two options. And I do actually remember, and it's weird, you don't hear voices, but the Lord actually came to me and asked me what I wanted. And what I said to him was, well, obviously I wanted my daughter to be healthy, but that I was already working on, so I already knew that. And I said, I just want people that are here to be proud of who they are, that I hope, everybody should be trained, right? They're all doctors and nurses and whatever, technicians. And they should at least know that they're powerful and that they're well trained and that they should feel good about it, because no matter what you do for a living, you can imagine the guys that are like, what'd you do today, honey? Well, I did another triple coronary bypass. It's like another one. I'm getting tired of doing that. I'm thinking about getting out of that field, right? Like, no matter what you do, sooner or later you're going to get tired and cranky. So I was like, I want them to be interested in what they do, send me the right people, and try to send me people that can help me, and that they be interested in me. And I'll do whatever I can. I won't be a grumpy patient. Because let me tell you, there are a lot of grumpy patients screaming and yelling and cussing and fussing. And not just that, but even while I was in the emergency room, both times, they were arresting people. Like, you see the people running, like the security guard people and everything, and there's people screaming and they go running. I'm like, what the hell's going on in this place? It's crazy. So, yeah, well, I have a decent attorney. He wasn't a bad guy. Everybody that the Lord sent me was, I think for the most part, was a decent person. For the most part. I don't know the deepness of their lives and everything, but there were people that were around at certain times that I could see there was a definite calling there. There was something else going on, Let's see, love is wonderful. Glad you're doing well. Thanks, DJ. Yeah, God, yeah, and, whatever it is, you can call it God, you can call it Jesus, you can call it Yeshua. I don't care what it is. There's something here in this realm that we live in, and I'm not sure what it is, but I can definitely tell you that there's some weird crap that happens and it's happened in my life, and you can kind of tell. It's like, don't push your luck, right? It's just weird. It really is weird. So that was the thing that I asked for. And no one came to see me. I had no advocate. I think I told you guys one of the stories. The second time I was in, they put me in a ward where people don't leave. And the guy next to me told me that. He's like, bro, he goes, I don't know what's going on with you. He's like, but I don't think you should be here. I'm like, why? And I had no TV or anything. He's like, didn't have any money. He's like, this is the place where they send people. They don't leave here. This is the ward. This isn't just like a regular ward. This is, everybody here is like, they're like lifers. I'm like, well, what are you doing here? It's like, well, I have nowhere to go. I'm really a mess, and I don't know how to get out of here. Nobody came to visit, right? I was like, oh. I'm like, uh-oh. In the middle of the night, different nurses would come at different times, and both times I was in there, feed me and stuff. I don't remember who they were. I don't know their names. They just show up and go, are you hungry? Do you need some food? Do you want me to get you something? I'm like, yeah, coffee and a sandwich. That would be great. And they would like disappear, and I'd be like, well, who works the night shift? Well, nobody really works the night shift. Well, there's a nurse that comes by, and nobody would give me any fucking answers. I'm like, well, who's that nurse? And it would be, it was 2 nights for this one person. I don't know if they're just shift workers and nobody knows who is doing what, or they just don't care to answer you because you're just the guy laying in bed and don't pay any attention to him. But they did. They paid a lot of attention to me. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then I woke up and I was like, okay, I got to get out of here. Let me go get that one nurse that I know. So it's really kind of an interesting experience. Yeah. Yes, Robert. The main thing is the air-fuel mixture and that the carburetor fits. And also the other thing, too, is that the inside bore diameter has to be the right size. Because sometimes they'll fit, but the inside bore diameter is not the right size. It might be too big or it might be too small. So that's actually something I did some, did I do that? Yeah, I think I have that. Where is that? I might actually have that video. Where did I put that? Yeah, it was a weird experience. Yeah, and the other weird thing, too, is that I'm sitting there, and so I answered the Lord. I said, just let them be, right? People that can help me. And the only other thing, because you can't unveil a list, because that would be rude. And the other thing, too, is I said, well, I would like to see my friend Elizabeth. It's been 6 years. And she showed up. Yep. It was like that. And when she came, it was really bizarre because they had shoved me in another room and neglected me and left me in the dark. And when she came, she's in the medical system. So she must have said something to the head nurse in charge. Because after she left, they start washing me and stuff. And the lady says to me, who was that person? I said, well, the other one, it was my daughter and then my ex-wife, my future ex-wife. She goes, no, the other one, the blonde. I said, well, that's my friend. I said, why? She goes, nothing. I said, well, why? What does it matter? Well, I got washed, I got fed different, I got turned, I got taken care of, right? They just left me in a blob. You get your bedpan changed and whatever else, and you get wiped down. Like, they'll leave you, And by the way, that's what was going on with the CVIT. Why so many people died in there. They wouldn't touch them. They wouldn't let the family go see them. I had customers coming to me, crying on my shoulder, telling me these stories, buying lawnmowers, bros. Seriously. It was bizarre. I'm like, anyway, let me see if I can find that. Where did I put that? Yeah, here it is. I think I got it. It might be in here somewhere. I probably need to put this together in an actual video. Yeah, it's something like this. Let me just see if I'll just listen to it real quick. Let me see. Yeah. Here it is. Hold on. Before I leave. I'm actually measuring this carburetor. And the input. Yeah, here we go. And I should have done it while we were open, but is this loud enough? The adjustment down here. Okay. Very similar. It's a little bit smaller on the output side. And the shaft, or I'll say the bore size, and the shaft and everything for the input side, the breather side, the filter side, the choke side, okay? That is, let's see if I can figure that out, 7/8, all right, of an inch. Close. But that's going to be a little bit bigger than the throttle side. See how it won't go in? Right, and this is, so that is, let me see if I can figure it out. Yeah, I'm measuring it. 16ths, right? This guy. It's a little different than this carburetor. So you can actually see it here. See the difference? You can see the size difference. That's just on the intake side, right? The choke side. That's just the intake. This is. There's a different on the other side too. And maybe I'll even get a closer shot. But anyway, that constriction point. That was just wanted to show that. And again, that's techie stuff for us fellas. I mean, I could put a video out on that. It may not do well, but that's okay. Let's see. Yeah, Bosch makes nice wiper blades. Helps to know someone. Yeah. Are you writing a book? No. Why? Why would I write a book? It sounds like it. It's just like every time I open my mouth, it's like a book. It's like a, oh my God, Arch is so long-winded. I'll probably see my nurse friend tomorrow at church. Nice, nice. And nurses are interesting, guys or girls, right? They have a way. You have to be a certain kind of person to want to do something like that. It's a special field, I think. I mean, yeah, of course, there's going to be bad eggs in any field, but nurses are an interesting breed in their own right. I think maybe some of them probably get a little bit bent over the years because of the stuff they have to deal with. You know, you get hardened. But it's the compassion. I mean, to actually have to want to deal with any job where you have to deal with people like that on a regular basis, especially people that are not well. Oh my God. Right? You know, that's a calling. Jamie says, Art, you have amazing life stories. Thank you for sharing. Oh, thanks, Jamie. You know, it's not really amazing. It's just the same thing like a lot of us go through, I think. It's I guess they are interesting life stories, but it is weird. Like I found that whole situation to be odd and weird. When both times when I left the hospital, I walked through the emergency room and people were hugging me and I think they were surprised to see me walk out, honestly. But everybody knew who I was, which is weird because you're in a big place with a lot of people. How did they know you? But I made them all laugh and they all treated me as good as they knew how or they were allowed to. By the way, that's another problem. Again, with the CVID years, right? They weren't allowed to do their jobs. They were told only what they could do, and I don't even want to go down that road, but it was heartbreaking for me to see that. I was very upset with that. That was not what most of those people wanted, obviously. Brett says, she has become someone very important to me over the last 5 years since she took care of me twice in the ER. Yeah, and it's good that you still talk to her and everything. You know, people will sometimes are sent to you. But you may not understand why or what their real purpose is, but I do think that there are times when humans are not just drawn to one another, but they're sent. Like, for example, the difference may be, like, why are you friends with somebody? You really don't know why. You know why, but you don't know why. Like, you could say, oh, we have the common interest or whatever. Nah, I have friends that I don't have anything in common with. And I have friends that I have a lot in common with. No, there's something else. It's something else. Like even my one friend, my good friend Rob, and I asked him, because he's more of an agnostic, you know, raised as a Jew, right? They're trained. You cannot get anywhere on Long Island as a Jew in our generation. You have to learn a lot, and it's like, I think maybe they learn a little bit more than we do, like the Christians, the Catholics do in confirmation. I may be wrong, but I've seen what they go through. So they're not ignorant. And he just decided at some point to become more of like an agnostic. This is what he tells me. So I'm paraphrasing. But I asked him, I said, do you think there's a God or whatever? He goes, I said, well, what about love? What about like friends and the lifelong relationship he and I have had since, he moved into the area and eventually we became friends many, many years ago. And even with all the stresses and the differences between he and I, why do we are still good friends? And he thought about it and he didn't have an answer. And I don't think he wanted one either, because I think he had to leave a little bit of room for something else, because it's a human thing and it's special. Yeah, right. Johnny Brown says there are no coincidences. Yeah, bro. Sometimes I gotta say there may be coincidences, but if I were to statistically come up with a guess number, it would be a small percentage. Like, we're not planned because there's freedom of will, freedom of choice. So natural law, which is, I feel, comes from the Creator. Okay, that's the basic law that what goes up must come down. It's like gravity, that kind of thing. But because of something of freedom of choice and freedom of will, it creates possibilities, but those possibilities are constrained by, well, gravity and the things around you. But as you make choices, it lines up certain things to happen, and they could be good or bad. And the coincidence, maybe I'll give it 15%, 20% possible coincidence, right? Anywhere from 5 to 20%, I'll give it. I would give it a low number, but I would give it a number, right? God put her in my life for a reason. Yeah, absolutely. And you in hers. So there's that flip. It's like, well, it's not just there because you needed them, but maybe you're there for her for something. I don't know. I don't know your relationship, but I'm just suggesting. And it's something you should think about. I don't know what that thing is. I have no idea. I have no idea why I'm in people's lives or whatever. I do know that there was a role I was supposed to play within my own family unit. And I have played a lot of that role. And that wasn't easy. But I'm glad I had the opportunity to do it. And maybe there's more stuff that's supposed to kind of happen. I hope, because I don't want to be done yet. I got to pee. Hold on, I got to be right back. Stand by. We got to put the pee thing on, and then I'll hang for a little bit longer, and then I'll go. Let's just put the pee thing. Pee break. I like the pit of misery, though. It's always fun. little bit of misery. All right, how do you get this lady to stop peeing? Oh, I had to go so much. Oh, oh yeah, it's loud. She was loud. Actually, I put that pee sound on top of it because there was no sound on that meme. I'm like, I gotta have like a pee sound. I'm like, let me go find a suitable pee sound. I wanted something that was, powerful. But yeah, this whole deal that went down with Minnie, she was my rock. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Sometimes that now someday may come where you'll have to return that favor. The toilet paper roll is backwards. That's how I put my toilet paper roll. I like it like that. It just stays nice and clean up against the wall. So there's two types of people in the world. I don't know if you guys know this. There are folders and there are watters. Which one are you? Are you a folder or a water? P with Echo. They must have a cat. Yeah. Jamie says, if you must sprinkle when you tinkle, please be neat and wipe the seat. Sounds like she's pissing in a stadium. Jamie says, Fenway Park used to have piss troughs. Yeah. I remember going to the men's room one time when I was a kid. There was a man passed out laying in the trough. Oh, my God. What a place to pass out, right? I saw actually on Facebook, they were selling a brand new prison toilet. And it was actually a real ad, but I'm like looking at this thing. I'm like, oh, this would actually be good for in here in the shop because it's all stainless and there's really no seat. And the sink is like right around to the right. But the caption was horrible. It was like, if you have somebody transitioning, like from prison life to regular life, like this would be a good thing for them. I'm paraphrasing, but to help them ease the transition, right? I'm like, that's just so wrong, right? And the way they wrote it was perfect. It's like, that's just so wrong. I'm like, but that would be an interesting thing to put in here. It'd be a real space saver, Stick that right over there in the back in the corner, put up a little partition wall or whatever. Have the sink and everything in one spot. Be nice, That would be interesting. Yeah, I'm almost out of coffee. Uh-oh. I can't believe I made this coffee go the whole time. Please be neat and wipe the seat. Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of cool. But yeah, a little bit every day I try to do something to kind of move things in the right direction. And I'm always, by the way, always be thankful, fellas, for whatever it is you have, right? Coming up on the new year, you can think about the blessings of the past year, even if maybe things kind of felt like shit and you didn't like all of it. Well, that kind of happens. But the possibilities of the new year coming. So we're at the end of this year. Next couple of, what is it? Let's see, it's 11/27. So it's almost the 31st, fellas. It's 11/27 over here. So it's good to try to be optimistic and not, one of the guys I know, younger fellow to me, he says, it could always be worse. I'm like, yeah, how's that? He goes, you could be on fire. And when you think about that, I don't mean to actually joke about that. Right now, somebody's on fire, right? It could always be worse. You can see what's going on in the world, and it's pretty sad, right? Some of it. And it's coming from people in places where they really they have no business being in the offices they're in politics or at the heads of companies, and they're making the lives of the people of this planet very miserable. And some of us have a hard way to go right now. So we should be thinking and offering prayers to those people. And maybe someday human beings will get their shit together and stop treating each other like crap, because it's just horrible. It's not just immoral. What it will do is it destroys the fabric of human consciousness, and we can never, ever move forward. And it's one of the reasons why I say that there is no such thing as Darwin's theory of evolution. And I've had this argument with some very intelligent people. I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see evolution in that way. We're still fighting over some of the dumbest stuff. We fall for some of the dumbest shit. Intellectually, emotionally, we haven't seemed to have evolved. And I think that might actually be changing. I'm actually seeing stuff that I'm aware of as I go out there and check on the world. I'm seeing people respond to things and doing things a little bit differently, and they're becoming more aware of the sins around them in the weirdness of the world. And they're looking a little bit deeper into it. And I can only hope that that continues, because I do think that there is a point at which where human consciousness changes. And I'll give you a couple of quick examples of this, right? So it happens in technology, but technology is still a human thing, right? It still requires a human being to have a thought in their head and say, ooh, let's make a jet engine. And if you looked around the world at the time when people were beginning to develop jet engines, well, there was some sharing of technology, very little, but there was some sharing. Some books and articles were written, universities, but you can keep in mind there was no mass communication. And when they locked down the planet during the World War II, for example, there was no sharing of information. And yet there were different people in different countries developing the jet engine. The same thing with radio. Marconi is he was sort of gifted a lot of that. Not that he didn't work on it, but he wasn't the only one. In fact, Tesla really. I mean, the spark gap radio, there were a lot of people working on that. Same thing with rocketry. Same thing with so many things. And collectively at a certain point in time, a bunch of people get together and go, oh, let's make a motor car. Let's make a motorcycle. And it's in different places around the world at a time when there is no mass communication. And there's pyramids all over the fucking planet from God knows when, how many thousands of years ago. There's awesome construction techniques that are very similar to other awesome construction techniques that we can't even properly date. So there's something that has happened collectively and occasionally occurs in human consciousness. And it just seems to me that scumbags at the top do everything they can to crush that every time this starts to happen. And I suspect that's what's happening now. So amen to all you fellas, and prayers and everything. And let me just catch up. Let's see. Keep me in prayer for Jerry Adolch. Heart checkup. Yes, Brett. Absolutely. Jamie says, very sad what's going on in the world. I can't believe it. I hope and pray 2020 will change. Yep. And I think a lot of it, too, is that people have to think along these lines and want change, you know. AI will do us in, Arch, makes you wonder how many times in the billions of years it has happened. Yeah, yep. Jamie says, you said this is going to be a 2-hour stream. Thank Yeah, I know, right? And, you know, AI was another thing I wanted to talk about, but we're not going to get to it. But, yeah. But just keep in mind, AI is a construction of man. It's not really a construction of anything else. And it's stupid. It is. It's dumb as hell. By the way, I also wanted to show you, maybe I'll do that. Check out Yanasa TV. He's a cool dude. He's more of a Southern dude. And, you know, it's younger fellow. He's more of a rancher these days with his family. But he started off like a lot of us, got involved with his wife, went to school, got one of them highfalutin jobs, made a whole bunch of money, bought the house, lost everything, and said, you know what? This isn't the way to do it. I got to do this the more natural, holistic, back to family, back to values. He put up today a thing on AI, and he went around to the different states, and he asked the AI, what do you think of us as humans? And give me a list of what people look like and what the best date would be like, the best male, the best woman, what would be, you know, these kinds of questions. And the AI spit out all of this stuff. And when you look at it, you're like, AI is, it's not just an idiot, it's really a racist idiot. Why? Because of the people that are programming it, you know? Saturday Night Live with Uncle Arch is always fun. Thanks, Brett. Look forward to it every week. I look forward to doing it. It's fun hanging out with you fellas. It's just an interesting way to kind of hang out and chat with people and share stuff. And I think that AI can also, if we can gain control of AI and learn how to use it and don't be duped by it, it's just like anything. You know, everybody complains sometimes about these stupid phones and we're all looking down. It's what you do with it. It's what you do with the technology. If you're in control of it and it's not in control of you, if you don't overuse it, it's moderation, a lot of it. You know, a lot of it is just knowing what you're doing with it. I think AI is a problem for us, but I think a lot of people will be duped by it at some point, but then we'll wind up dealing with that. We'll find a way around it. It can be very useful to us, but the way the powers that be want to use it is going to be a problem. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here, fellas. God bless to everybody and have a good new year, and I will see you guys next year. Get it!